Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are throughout the world. I would like to welcome you all to our session. And I hope you had a very nice time celebrating our independence, Pakistan's Independence Day yesterday. So, this is the initiative of JumpStart Pakistan Sydney chapter, locally based in Sydney, and we have participants from all over the world. So I'm really glad, I'm really happy to be part of this exercise and to be part of this virtual venture and capital conference. I'm extremely honored to introduce one of my dearest friend, my brother, Umair Jaliawala, who will be hosting the conference with me. And without further delay, I would quickly move on to our first session, and I'll request Mr. Umair Jaliawala to please give a brief intro about. Of course, everybody knows Umair very well, but Umair is a bit new for the Australian audience, especially. So I would like to welcome Umair Jaliawala to Australia. And to know the friends here, and then just in a couple of minutes, if you can introduce yourself, and then we'll introduce our panelists as well. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much, Shahriyar. You're a wonderful man, and it's been 2 years that I've known Shahriyar, and he doesn't leave people that he gets in touch with and likes building networks, and that is what has become the way to be in today's times in the economy that we are in. I'm very, very happy to be part of this. Entrepreneurship is extremely important subject, and not just for Pakistan but for the world. Our biggest problems are our biggest opportunities, and it's been fun pushing a lot of people and myself experimenting, trying, venturing, doing things. So very happy to be here. Thank you very much, Shahriyar, JumpStart, and good luck for this chapter that we're launching. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think we will now quickly, with Umair Jaliawala. I'm sure Umair Jaliawala already knows all these panelists and have been in touch with them probably longer than me. So I'll quickly invite Mr. Zouhair, Khaliq, Mr. Anwar Khan, and Mr. Azhar Rizvi, and not least not least, but Mr. Khurram Zuberi, who is the backbone, the force, the energy behind all this JumpStart Pakistan. So over to you, Umair.
Thank you, Shahriyar, for leaving me in the company of really, really difficult people. Very, very sharp people. Wonderful you all are. Thank you very much. मैं आप सबका अलग-अलग तारुफ नहीं कराऊंगा. आपकी प्रोफाइलें बहुत हसीन है. Zouhair साहब, I have known you over the ages, and very, very inspired by the culture that you created for the telecom Pakistan, and then been following you since then. Khurram Zuberi, welcome. Thank you for being the force, for making so much happen alongside your own work. Not easy. Azhar saab, good to see you. Long time.
Yeah.
And Anwar Saab, good to see you as well. Thank you very much, all four of you gentlemen. Entrepreneurship and the opportunities that they bring. Now, you're entrepreneurs and you have been enabling a lot of entrepreneurs during this time. So मैं चाहूँगा कि आप initially अपना हमें एक opening stance दें कि entrepreneurship, having been one yourself and encouraged so many, and now seeing the big opportunities out there and more accessible than ever. What's your case for entrepreneurship for all of us? Whoever would like to go first.
I think anyone from Azhar Bhai or Zouhair Bhai, I think they are our peers, so they should start.
Sure.
So let's mentor. So
we have A to Z covered. So where do we begin? Let's start with Z today. Zouhair Saab.
So Diki, as far as I'm concerned, I've been in the telecom technology business for about 30 years now, and had the opportunity over the years to set up a lot of companies, create new companies, fail a few as well, as part of the journey. And it's just been a very interesting ride. And right now, I feel that what we do in Pakistan is, if we are able to promote, create, and encourage the entrepreneurship culture, I think that is a phenomenal thing for Pakistan, because we're standing at a cusp right now in Pakistan where just about ready to take off, because you've got huge amounts of connectivity, and I'm sure a lot of you already know the numbers, but 167 million people of the 220 million connected through mobile technology. About 82 million of those are already using 3G/4G connection. So it means they have access to the internet. You have a demographic population where 65% of your population is under the age of 30. So the youth is right there, waiting for that opportunity to make things happen. And I think given where we've seen in the last 6 months with COVID and what it's done to businesses all around the world and Pakistan, I think there's a huge opportunity right here to encourage people to move towards technology, adapt and adopt more technology, and for entrepreneurs, startups to look at this as a roadway and a pathway to create new businesses, more online businesses, make Pakistan go more digital. And I think that's where my focus is over the next few years, inshallah. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about it.
Wonderful, beautifully said. We are connected. We all know the numbers, increasing numbers, and that has made a lot possible. Thank you, Zouhair Saab, for giving that frame. It's lovely. Your background and your future, I think it's the same thing that you've been at. Azhar Saab, I have seen you sort of passionately push so many people, including the academia. Entrepreneurs. Pakistan needs entrepreneurs. Your forums that I've been aware of, the MIT forum, the dialogues that you would organize, the people that you would bring in. Fast forwarded now 2020. What will Azhar Saab say to Pakistan when it's entrepreneurship and the potential for the country?
I think there are 4 or 5 different ecosystems, the pillars. So we have worked well as far as the infrastructure is concerned. To a great extent, our networks are now capable of taking our application, our product first to a larger audience in Pakistan. We have worked well with the universities, and now every university has a 2006. Entrepreneur was a French word. Now every Tom, Dick, and Harry and every small, big university and a whole curriculum on entrepreneurship. I'm myself teaching health and it's a new domain for me, opening up my eyes like anything. So we have worked on the education. We have a very charged up youth. Now I work with youth and I get utterly surprised and scared. The kind of ideas they have, I think very soon we will see a few unicorns coming out from Pakistan because they're not scared to take the risk. They're not scared to think. Alhamdulillah. Now my personal venture in 2016, the Middle Guys, I got 2 years. And I got up. Luckily, it was my good that I was this by and I was introduced to Jam University. In the past, I had worked in agri-sector university, but not as focused as for the last 2 years. And I personally believe while there is tremendous opportunity for the urban center, because there's a huge opportunity, there should not be any other opportunity but to on the agri sector. I luckily am part of a presidential team committee. There are a few of us, and we are talking to President of Digital Pakistan. And I said that 70% population living in the rural areas still do not have access to, leave aside 3 or 4G, 2G is a big deal. And what we have done in the last 2 years from that university, we have asked them to experiment it. Umair, you can, inshallah, I can see you at Bokhari and your passionate program, inshallah, and I hear you, and there you will be doing 1,000 people or 2,000 people preparing sessions. Because you see, what we have learned is that we can create. I went to Chandigarh University. I can pick a lakh, and 1 acre, 1 lakh. Now that sounds very outstanding. Ki, 1 lakh kaise kama lenge? But when we prove it, and now we are going to 2 lakh an acre. Just to imagine, and all of you, my friends, brothers, that if we can create a 2,000 to 3,000 rupees per acre economy for a farmer in the rural areas, multiply the number of farmers, multiply the number of youth, we can be a $1 trillion economy. I think when I went to Singapore in 1987, I landed up going to Australia, and the driver from NCR which came to pick me up had a mobile phone. And the only prayer that I had that day all the way to the hotel was, Ya Allah, mere mulk ko bhi driver ko mobile phone de do. So Khaliq Saab ko Allah और ऐसे लोगों को भेजते हैं. We have, I think I am very upbeat, and I would. The reason I wanted to add the IT sector, because when I go to these dialogues, we mostly forget about our 70% population and the humongous opportunity. So this is my 3 minutes or 4 minutes. आपके
Wonderful. Thank you, Azhar Saab, for highlighting, and I'm glad you've added to the conversation from tech to agri. And I'm going to bring to you experts, wonderful experts, to some sectors because opportunities are what we'll be speaking about. But I have the other two, and I would like you to give your opening statements as well. Anwar Saab, if you could hear it from you, any more dimension that you would like to add to entrepreneurship and the potential it carries for Pakistan?
Certainly. So if I take my own experience, I think obviously a lot has changed. When I set the company up that I currently run almost 19 years ago. Actually, it's going to be 19 years in another 10 days. So we're going to be 19 years old, and the biggest few differences that I have seen is, of course, actually everything has changed. If you look at IT, because today you have public and private sector support, which actually wasn't present back then. You have a great deal of investment right now in the market, which for IT, although you may not need so much, but there is plenty of investment for good ideas to be catapulted with. Of course, the number of people who are able to work in the IT sector, of course, has also grown many folds. I think one of the big other parts that you need in the for growth is, of course, the market. And that's something that has also drastically changed. I remember when I started the company up 19 years ago, people would actually ask me why I'm doing this. And they would wonder, kya, ye IT acha, computer bechoge, mere ghar ka monitor kharab ho gaya, wo aake theek kar lo. Things like that. I mean, and that has changed to a point where now there's a huge demand for IT services. Everything from small grocery stores are looking for POS systems and connectivity. जैसे आपने भी mention किया था अजहर साहब ने कि जी अभी आपके drivers जो हैं, you get drivers on call. I have friends who fly in from Karachi to Islamabad, and they have their people over there providing them a service of shuttling them around in Islamabad, and they're connected with them over the phone. As a very simple example, or even people who come to work at your house, they have a phone and they're connected with multiple households like that. So I think that's a dimension that I see as, of course, also changed drastically, which is the market.
It's very important. The people, the talent in the sector itself, and you rightly pointed out that talent is now looked at differently. And not just that, I've seen IoT service providers, home-based, they would come and they would. So definitely great growth there. Please go on.
So that is the beauty of IT. You don't need a lot of investment. All you need is a good skilled workforce to be able to supply services in the sector. You need a market, and of course, eventually, if you need reach a point where you need accelerated growth, and you can't do it organically, then you need mentors like Azhar Saab, who are going to show you how to take your company into fast forward. And alhamdulillah, with public private sector support, similar to what Zouhair Saab is currently managing in a very large way. That was another missing element back then, which is now there. So we actually have all the pieces to the puzzle fitting in now together. And I think this is, as you mentioned, this is the time now. So inshallah, I think there's plenty of opportunity for entrepreneurs to grow fast.
Wonderful. 10 years ago, the Indus Entrepreneurs Karachi did a conference. The theme was "The time is now." And in 2020, I get it again. The time is now. You're right. The time is now. और ecosystem के different pieces अब साथ आ गए. उसमें आपकी तरह के लोग फंडिंग देने वाले भी हैं, और incubators भी हैं, mentors भी बहुत सारे मौजूद हैं. Within entrepreneurial fraternity, training, capacity building, helping entrepreneurs deal with the challenges on the way. So a lot has really worked out, and I would agree that a lot of pieces have come together during this time. Our last panelist, और जब मैं उनको दावत दूं खुर्रम को, तो उससे पहले मैं आप सबको दावत देता हूं. Please tell us where you're joining us from. If you can mention your city and also tell us what do you do. So city and calm. अगर comments से बताएंगे, it's going to be very nice to have a chat with you and can also give you an opportunity to ask all the panelists, inshallah, questions as we move forward. So please join in. Let us know where you're joining us from. Khurram, your opening stance on the conversation.
Thanks, Umair. I think irrespective of where we stand, and you rightly said that 10 years ago we were talking about that time is now. And I recall I was attending this conference in Istanbul, 2010, and there were a handful of companies, about 100 of them, fastest growing companies were picked up, and they were actually participating in Istanbul conference. That was the second of its kind. And Joe Biden was there, funny enough. He was the chief guest, and we were talking about at that time that Pakistan is the next Turkey. So, irrespective of where we are situated in this timeline, that time is now thing, I think one thing we have to realize that the growth is in emerging markets, and this has been the mantra for like last couple of decades now. It's not the new thing. It's everybody knows that the new growth is not going to come in the developed world. It's not going to be in Europe. It's not going to be in America. It's going to be in the developing nations. And that's why we saw this growth in South America. That's why we saw this growth in Far East, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore obviously has been the old example, and Malaysia. But the recent examples are Chile, Brazil, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. So you keep taking these names, and then you realize that you are the best fit in this. And I mean, for the entrepreneur, the problems are the opportunities. So whenever somebody says to me in Pakistan that the land of opportunities in America, I tell them, no, it's not, because all those problems have been fixed. I mean, there is a very minute level of opportunity for those people who are going to grow here, and there's like a very finite number of sectors available in US where you can grow. In Pakistan, everywhere, wherever you go, you have, I mean, infinite number of growth opportunities. So I would just say, irrespective of whether it's a pre-COVID or post-COVID, or like a industrialization or post-industrialization, or the fourth industrial wave, irrespective of all that debate, I think the growth is going to be in the developing world, and Pakistan is one of them. So it's a huge number of opportunities out there, and people have started to see that. So I mean, a lot of foreigners will see that have started coming in, and last conference, I mean, we have realized about 150 of the people came from overseas, including the diaspora as well as the foreigners. So that's just my take on it.
Wonderful. Thank you for taking us around the world in that, and also helping us understand that the biggest opportunities are not in the developed, but in the developing, the underdeveloped. And that's where the big mass, the आबादी भी ज़्यादा है, and उसको cater करना आज के दौर में मुमकिन भी हो गया है. I like it how you said that it doesn't matter where we are, because there is, of course, what matters is what we're doing at this point. Thank you very much, all of you wonderful people. If I can see all of the panelists on the screen, please, it's going to be nice. मैं चाहूँगा कि हम एक और सवाल मैं आपसे पूछूं, and then we will build upon what comes out with this question. And if there are any questions in the comments, please join us as well. Everybody says problems are opportunities. The world's biggest problems are the world's biggest opportunities. If you want to become a billionaire, solve a problem for a billion people, charge $1 and you're a billionaire. I keep hearing that from a lot of young people around Pakistan. And every startup show is full of somebody trying to solve a problem. I would like for you experts, and so many industries and so many people, help us see it. Problems बताएं और उसकी गिर्द अपॉर्चुनिटी बताएं. मुझे लगता है कि हम ये लिंक शायद नहीं बना सकते. एज यंग पर्सन मुझे लगता है कि हम नहीं बना सकते. हेल्प अस अंडरस्टैंड इट थोड़ा सा और क्लियरली कि पाकिस्तान में देखो ये बड़ा चैलेंज है, ये उसके मौके हैं. So that we are able to clearly see it, because my premise also is sometimes I've seen young people working very hard trying to solve problems that are not real for this country. And it doesn't turn into a real business. Sorry, Azhar Saab, go on. You've been wanting to say something.
I can't hear you, Umair. I'm sorry. I think there is issue with either my said, or
can I ask?
your mic.
Can I ask Khurram Saab, Anwar Saab, can you hear me?
Can everyone hear him first? Let me ask this. Can you all hear him?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Okay, somehow I can't hear you. Let me see
क्योंकि
what is
आपने
the
अजहर
problem
साहब
with
बोले
my
दिया है
Please
तो
go
मैं
ahead.
भी
Sorry
आपको
about
बता
that.
दूं कि हम भी आपको सुन नहीं पा रहे थे आपके पहले जवाब में बड़ी मुश्किलों से हमने बात बनाई है तो I think there is some sound challenge so if you can fix that. Meanwhile, Zouhair साहब, Anwar साहब and Khurram साहब, if my question is clear to you, help us see the problems as opportunities from the Pakistani lens.
I guess I can go first. I just have a point which is I think valid for the IT industry specifically. अगर एक प्रॉब्लम है आपके अपने होम टर्फ में आपके मुल्क में जो कि आप सॉल्व कर सकते हैं and build a solution around that, that's a great start. I think you're lucky you have an opportunity right there in front of you and you can address it. We have several cases where actually we've our big growth has been where we've solved problems over here, and then believe it or not, we've gone out and solved the same problems in the Middle East or in North Africa for our customers. So हमारे पास एक बहुत बड़ा एडवांटेज था. आज जो है ये एक इसमें बहुत बड़ा डिफरेंस यह है कि अब आपको कहीं पे भी एक प्रॉब्लम अगर नजर आ जाए, maybe you partner with a company or a client outside, you have access to customers globally, and therefore you have access to problems globally. So it's no longer as much a home turf, phenomena anymore. I think that's another that's a point I wanted to bring up. I'll let Zouhair comment.
Thank you. You squashed through my question out of the park, Umair. What are you talking about? You could be anywhere and solving any question. Thank you for saying that. Wonderful. Who's next?
Can you please repeat the
I think what we would want to see here is that when you talk about problems, when you look at the field, you can choose anything you want at this point in time. We've seen a lot of startups now who are looking at agri-tech. We've mentioned that before. Similarly, distance learning and edtech is a huge field which people are stepping into. E-commerce obviously is a very, very large field with 220 million people out there. It's a no-brainer. And जो इसमें अच्छी बात वो ये है कि when you talk to people like Daraz, for example, today, they will tell you that the majority of their orders are actually coming in from the rural areas, not from the urban areas. And there's a logic to that because they have less opportunities to go and visit shops and malls. And when they see something online on one of these devices, they are equally happy to tap on it and ask for that to be delivered. So that's just a small example of some of the things that are going on. FinTech, of course, is a great opportunity right now in Pakistan, with more and more people now accepting, that they will have to go digital. They will have to look at accepting cash online and paying online, and that's becoming something that's moving quite fast. A lot of people are already stepping into it. But I wanted to mention something else, which we've said in passing, but which is a real phenomena right now for people who are wondering, how do we get into this field? 4 or 5 years ago, there were virtually no venture capital funds in Pakistan. Today, as we speak, there are between 12 and 15 established venture capital funds in Pakistan, with something like between 250 and 300 million US dollars available for investment. Okay. Other things that are changing very rapidly here are, for example, over the last year and a half or two, as a lot of us have got involved in the work, you see, things at the SECP, for example, the Securities Exchange Commission of Pakistan, changing. We now finally have things like, a recognition of what a startup is. Until now, you could only be classified as a small, medium enterprise, SME, but you now actually have a category called startup. And along with that, there are, various advantages to it. For example, they now recognize the fact that you can establish a value, and that value could be, notional rather than actual value in what your assets are, for example. So very important for a new startup to get the right valuation for the right investment. Also, for example, they are now recognizing things like, stock options for employees, which is again an essential part of a young startup, where often they don't have enough money to pay the right people. but they will offer them the options, and the right people will come and join them. So just some of the elements that are very, very real and on the ground at this point in time. I think those things are important to note for people who are watching, both who want to start up and also for people who are wondering, how do I invest in Pakistan? So those vehicles are now in place. The legislation is moving in that direction. There's a lot of work going on with the Central Bank of Pakistan and also with the Federal Board of Revenue to, again, look at how they can facilitate young entrepreneurs and startups in flourish, encouraging to make these businesses go forward. So all of that is happening as we speak. And I think it goes really well, as somebody mentioned earlier, 10 years ago. Well, this is not 10 years ago, this is today. And a lot of this is happening as we speak. And a lot of other things are happening. For example, again, somebody mentioned in passing, but we have startups now for domestic help, for example. So if I need a cook or a driver or a maid for a day, for example, they are available online on platforms, some of them coming out from, for example, the National Incubation Center that I'm involved in running with. It's called Mocha Online. Go check it out. And this is for blue-collar workers who are vetted, who are screened, and are ready for employment. And their employment levels have gone, their salary levels, their remuneration levels have gone up multiple fold as a result of that. I could go on for hours, Umair, but just to let you know that some of these are some of the concrete things which have happened in the last few years, and I think it's very, very encouraging.
You identified from the regulation point of view, and great news from SECP, the recognition of startup as a category, the stock options, all of this is very essential. I've also heard they've recognized crowdfunding now in some form, so that's also going to be coming out. So very, very good news for Pakistani startups and people interested in the Pakistani startup ecosystem. Thank you, Zouhair, for those insights. I'd like... I'd like Azhar, if you're with us, and you were saying,
please.
G.
Can you repeat your question? I think it's about opportunities for
the हम बात कर रहे थे कि opportunities थोड़ा सा और खोल दें, open up these opportunities, and like we've heard that any problem anywhere in the world is an opportunity. That's the power of it. But from the Pakistani lens, and when we say Pakistan needs entrepreneurship, like Zouhair also identified that it has helped a lot of people find employment, better income. So what sort of opportunities would you highlight here?
Now I'll start startups, or I'll talk to the boys and girls who are listening. Yesterday I was at Gujarat. So if the boys and girls are listening from Gujarat, Bokhari, or Gujarat, or Sindh, wherever they are, there's a tremendous opportunity for you. Now working with the Jam boys, we have established a supply chain company. What they are doing is they are taking all and supplying it to 1,000 households in Hyderabad. Each day, our target was help them get 100 rupees per household. They have achieved that. Others are achieving more. They start with sabzi. Now they are adding dairy and poultry. So tremendous opportunities for smaller cities, smaller towns. You have what you take or consume in the larger cities. Create your network, create your opportunities, start working with your friends in larger cities, have the network available. Nothing can stop you to take over the urban center markets. On the other hand, I have seen also, just to give you another odd example, that first of all, you start with your passion. Working at the Jaliawala, and boys came and our passion is dogs. Why is that passion? Because we kill our dogs. I want to say that. Cut long story short, within 5 months of our training program, they started exporting dogs to Australia as guard dogs. So तुम जहाँ पे भी हो बच्चों, तुम लोग जहाँ पे हो, पाकिस्तान के जिस हिस्से में भी हो, एक tremendous opportunity. सबसे पहले अपनी self esteem को ऊपर करो. कोई देहाती, कोई गाँव वाला, कोई शहर नहीं है. हम लोगों ने अपने आप को create कर लिया है टाटास के अंदर. And when you look at us sitting in houses and all these beautiful places, you have something that you don't have something which we have. I can assure you, you have the resources, you have the money, और थोड़ा सा इंटरनेट पे जाओ, They are tremendous motivational talk and speakers. ये उमैर के भी speakers बहुत अच्छे हैं, उनको देखो और आप लोगों को और आगे आना चाहिए. So I think you all should go and work building yourself. Opportunities, resources तुम्हारे किसी से कम नहीं है, network तुम्हारे पास आ गए हैं, training programs तुम्हारे पास online. Only
Thank you, Azhar, for saying that.
ठीक है, thank you.
Thank you. Great dose of confidence there wherever you are. Buckle up, अपनी esteem बढ़ाएं और ये मौका सबके लिए, हर किसी के लिए. और मैं motivation से अब शिकवा मोड में आ गया हूँ, Azhar साहब. So that's, I don't know whether it's a good news or a bad news, but that's where I'm at. Okay. Have I missed out on anyone?
Actually, if you allow me, I just had a quick question because I wanted to take advantage.
Bilkul.
You know,
I wanted to include you after this. I want to hear Khurram's point, but go on.
Okay, thanks, Umair.
Okay.
Again, I would come to that point that irrespective of where we stand in this timeline, I mean, yes, we can talk about that the CP rules has been revised and there are like a lot more funding opportunities are there. VCs are coming to Pakistan and everything, but realize this, like look at the case studies first of all. I mean, if irrespective of what the ecosystem, because ecosystem is continuously evolving, so you have to look at what exactly happened about 10-15 years ago. So for the very first unicorn wasn't established 2-3 years ago. The very first true unicorn you can call from Pakistan, which came out of Pakistan, was founded 14 years ago. So when we actually talk about that, okay, now is the time or now is the opportunity, this is not right. I mean, it could be anywhere. It could be like 8 years ago with the people who were actually establishing the ventures and the startups at that time when Azhar, for instance, back in 2006 and 7 was scaling Zouhair or like some other companies to 10x. I mean, that was the also time. So every single person have to actually understand out there that, okay, this is the time. Yes, it is the time, but there's plenty of opportunities out there. I mean, it hasn't decreased. We haven't really looked into those opportunities in a true sense. I was just giving an example. Like, you know, this purchase system is still going on in hospitals. You have enormous amount of opportunities in your agriculture sector. I mean, literally, we don't even have renting shops to actually rent a tractor to actually plow our land, for instance. I mean, those very basic ones aren't there. And another problem I wouldn't call it a problem, but I mean, one thing we actually not doing right is perceiving that the entrepreneurship has only thing to do with the computer, that you sit in front of the computer and you start coding something. You start making an app, you start making a portal, and that's what the entrepreneurship is about. It's not. For God's sake, please come back to reality that the actual Silicon Valley became a Silicon Valley when they started working on the actual hardware itself. So we have to actually focus on hardware also. And you know, if you look back in 80s or 70s or even 60s, I mean, in Karachi, in those small streets, they were building parts for the tanks. I used to go to the Hall Road in the 80s, and I would get like, this kind of gadgets look like Raspberry Pi and Arduino. At that time, like 40 years ago, 35 years ago, in Hall Road, the people who are of that age, they probably would just recall that. Like, I used to buy this, I actually bought that, those LED patterns. You would put this, small gadget in your, water tank upstairs on the ceiling, on the roof, and then the motor would automatically stop. So tons of those gadgets were getting sold at the Hall Road and the College Road and Rawalpindi and all those places and in Karachi. But what has happened over the time is we had this, war on terror, and because of that, like all these blasts were going on. So this, connecting the dots of innovation got broken. But really, we have to come at and look at the true entrepreneurship that is not just about coding. It's not about sitting in front of the computer and then doing or building the next Uber app, but it's also something which is you can build, which can change the world. So in my opinion, I think It's a wide variety of opportunities out there, which includes the digitization. But then also digitization has got to do with something. There's going to be always a digital element or technology element. Doesn't matter what you do. Even if you are doing something in agriculture, there has to be some sort of like a technology. But start looking at the problem. Not do not love your solutions, love your problems. And I would just end at that point that start loving the problem.
Wonderful, beautifully said. Do not love your solutions. That's what we love as entrepreneurs. What are you talking about, man? I love my solutions, and that's why I never look anywhere else. And I get trapped in my own thinking, and then I lose the business that I start out. So many people with so many advice, so much advice available, yet don't do it right. And I would like, because this is almost at the edge, अगर आपका कोई सवाल हो आप कमेंट से पूछ सकते हैं, वरना मैं शहरियार आप पहले अपनी बात कर लें, फिर मैंने एक मजेदार जूसी सवाल निकाला है. I think it's going to be short for everybody to answer, but go on, you were saying something.
Sure. मैं actually मेरा जो सवाल है वो it connects to what Zuhair Saab has mentioned, that one of the observations of Daraz was they have customers in the remote regions. तो अगर हम बात करते हैं कि we have potential entrepreneurs or potential idea that could be on a software side or a hardware side, but then they are physically based in these remote regions. In bigger cities like Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, Peshawar, we all have these incubation centers that somehow at least provides a platform to all these potential startups to come in, pitch, and get an opportunity to have this incubation period for 3 to 6 months. So what about those areas जो हमारे बिल्कुल रिमोट रीजन्स में है, उनके लिए क्या प्लेटफॉर्म्स है, उनको कहाँ जाना चाहिए अपने आइडियाज, अपने पोटेंशियल बिजनेसेस को लेके कि दे हैव अ प्लेटफॉर्म? तो अगर जुहैर साहब कोई भी इसको आंसर करना चाहे. थैंक यू
जी. इसमें शरियार देखें, the point is कि yes, we have 5 incubation centers today, the one in Islamabad and then the provincial ones in Karachi, Lahore, Quetta and Peshawar. And I think there's a thought and there's a discussion within the government itself and other people that they will want to roll these out to several other cities as we speak. But also there's a lot of virtual incubation opportunities as well right now, where again, as I said, connectivity is right there. So a lot of people come to us, and they don't have to be physically present in Islamabad, for example. They can actually only, and especially now with the Zoom and everything, we inducted our 8th cohort entirely online. Okay, all the applications came in, all the interviews were done online, and all the actual curriculum has been started online. So there is an opportunity यहाँ पे कि आप अगर किसी रिमोट एरिया में भी बैठे हैं, किसी विलेज में हैं, स्मॉलर टाउन में हैं, वहाँ से भी you can actually come in and apply online and be inducted into one of the NICs, for example. And I think a lot of the other private incubators are doing a similar exercise right now. So and देखिए, सबसे बड़ी बात एंटरप्रेन्योर की होती यही है कि वो हर चीज को, जो भी प्रॉब्लम नजर आती है, उसको अपॉर्चुनिटी बनाने को तैयार होते हैं, और उनका तरीका होता है कोई लगाने का उसको कि इसके आगे कैसे बढ़ाएंगे. अगर आपको हर चीज वैसे ही परफेक्ट मिल जाएगी आपके सामने, तो फिर आपके पास कोई ऐसी अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं है, बिकॉज फिर क्यू जो होगी वो इतनी लंबी होगी कि सभी उसमें खड़े होंगे. सो एंटरप्रेन्योर का सबसे बड़ा जो क्वालिटी होती है वो ये होती है कि हाउ डू आई get past the problems and hurdles that I have in my way. And as I said to you, आजकल के ज़माने में that should not be an immediate hurdle for you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'd like to add basically यहाँ ये 5 NICs हैं. Government has also established 50 audits, offices of research, social commercialization, which are at 55 universities, and a similar number of business incubation centers. They are all mostly at the government university. तो एक दिक्कत आपके लिए है, आप ये देखें कि आपके करीब कौन सी यूनिवर्सिटी है जहाँ पे एक कोई इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर या ऑडिट, आप वहाँ जा सकते हैं, वहाँ आपको बेसिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मिल जाए. दूसरा, जैसे मेयर साहब ने कहा कि बहुत सारा मटेरियल जो है वो ऑनलाइन अवेलेबल है, और आप उस ऑनलाइन मटेरियल से अपने आप को मुस्तफीद कर सकते हैं, और आप देख सकते हैं कि मैं किस तरह से इन चीज़ों को अपने लिए यूज़ कर सकता हूँ. तीसरा तरीका ये है कि जिस तरह से आप ऑनलाइन चीजें खरीद रहे हैं अपने लिए, उसी तरह से आप ये सोचें कि मैं ऑनलाइन चीजें कैसे बेच सकता हूँ। दराज है, जो आपकी कंपनीज हैं, और बहुत सारी कंपनीज हैं, बहुत सारे बच्चे जिनको स्टैब्लिश किया, दे हैव द ओन ई कॉमर्स इंजन्स फ्रॉम ऑल ओवर पाकिस्तान। बहुत सारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं जो आपको मदद करेंगी। लोग बहुत सारी चीजें बेच रहे हैं, अभी बच्चे जो हैं रूरल एरिया से बेच रहे हैं, उनका फुटप्रिंट नहीं है, दे कैन नॉट बी लाइक दराज, दे कैन नॉट बी लाइक दैट, लेकिन अपने आप को छोटा बनाएं, उसको ग्रो करें। दराज भी बहुत छोटा शुरू हुआ था, ऐसी अली बाबा नहीं आया, इट टुक देम लाइक 5 years or 10 years टू कम टू दैट लेवल। तो आप पहले अपने इलाके को देखें। अभी गुज्जर खान गया हूँ वहाँ पे मैं, तो वहाँ पे सराउंडिंग में तकरीबन कोई 40-50 लाख की आबादी रहती है, ठीक है ना, छोटे छोटे शहर हैं, गाँव है, देहात है। आप वहाँ पे अगर कुछ करना चाहें, वहाँ पे आप रहते हैं, वहाँ पे नारोवाल है, नारोवाल यूनिवर्सिटी में बात कर रहे हैं, तो वहाँ पे माशाल्लाह वो मक्खन दूध बहुत होता है, तो वहाँ कॉटेज इंडस्ट्री में पनीर बनाने की बात कर रहे हैं। छोटे प्रोडक्ट देखें, जैसे खुर्रम की बात मुझे अभी जो की वो यही समझ में आई है कि यू शुड फोकस स्मॉल, you should focus on the problem and you should develop solution for the problem that you are looking at in your area, and you should be passionate about that, but convert your passion into business by consulting with others। आपके इलाके में बहुत सियाने हैं, बहुत पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं, पंचायतें होती हैं, they make big decisions, don't underestimate them कि जी एक बाबू नहीं है कराची वाला या लाहौर वाला या इस्लामाबाद का, उनसे जाएं, उनसे पूछें, उनको सियाने इसीलिए कहते हैं। You know, now I am learning from them because I go to these rural centers and I sit down and talk to them under the trees, and they give me immense knowledge. See, so they have the knowledge of 30 generations, 40 generations. They have been living there. So हिम्मत नहीं आ रहे, फोकस करें छोटे प्रॉब्लम्स पे, उन छोटे प्रॉब्लम्स को आहिस्ता आहिस्ता अपने बिहार, छोटे आहिस्ता आहिस्ता कीजिए, and slowly and gradually you will see people start looking at you when they will find a product from a smaller town in city in Vihari coming to Karachi, वहाँ से मक्खन आ रहा है, शहद आ रहा है, there's so many things that you can sell जो कि perishable नहीं है आपके, सोचें करें, इंशाल्लाह the whole world is open to you। And then briefly one question on you, आपके उसमें कि यूनिकॉर्न के वाले से, yes you have created unicorns which have been able to go outside Pakistan। What I meant from unicorn was कि कोई ऐसा यूनिकॉर्न हो, जैसे टेलको सेक्टर में माशाल्लाह कोई ऐसा यूनिकॉर्न हो जो हुए अपनी की मार्केट से $1 की आम आवाज आ रही है, लेकिन प्रॉब्लम हो रही है।
अदर साहब, अब आपकी आवाज नाकाबिले बर्दाश्त हो चुकी है, आई मस्ट टेल यू। पहले तो हमने बर्दाश्त कर ली, पहले हमने बना भी लिया, अस्यूम भी कर लिया, लिप रीडिंग भी कर ली, लिप सिंक भी कर लिया, माजी की चीजें भी मिला ली, अब नहीं होता। So I'm gonna stop you there for a second there, and but beautiful point there, जो आपने बात की कि you're learning at this age, you're going out enabling, and I would just like to emphasize that जो मैंने थोड़ा बहुत एक्सपीरियंस किया है एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के साथ, स्टार्टअप्स के साथ, जब आप रूरल सेटिंग में जाते हैं ना, तो ऐसे जाते हैं, हम अर्बन से रूरल जा रहे हैं, तो वो माइंडसेट जो है ना, वो सीखने के लिए तैयार होता नहीं है, वो हल लेकर आता है, वो स्ट्रैटेजी लेकर आता है, एंड लेट मी टेल यू दैट स्ट्रैटेजी एंड दैट हल आई हैव नॉट सीन वर्क आउट। आई डोंट नो व्हाट माय अदर एक्सपर्ट्स वुड से टू दैट, बट आई एम विद अजहर साहब इन दिस दैट यू हैव टू एब्सोल्युटली be hands on, roll up your sleeves, understand from the locals, from those who've been doing it for a very long time, to know how it's done. Even if you're working on the coolest disruption in that sector, but it needs the fundamentals done right. We are short of time. Shariar, do we have a couple of minutes just to take last words?
Yeah, I think we can take the last words, and because our other panelists for the next sessions are actually waiting for us.
Okay, excellent. So, looking at the time, 30 seconds each, starting with the top one, Mr. Khurram.
Okay, thank you, Umair. Just a quick
just your last thoughts, what you're leaving us with, entrepreneurship and opportunities for Pakistan.
Okay, just a quick one on this point, which Azhar was saying. So, Zameen was, I mean, I consider it a fully Pakistani grown company. I mean, yes, they had to actually get the funding from overseas, and that's usually would happen. But they started their journey back in 2006. So expect that you're going to have like 10-year journey before you actually become a Daraz or Zameen, something like that. Or for matter of fact, Rosie had the similar journey. So love the problem. If you start loving the problem, you'll focus on the problem itself. What current entrepreneurs are doing, they are trying to actually love the solution and build the solution, and then over the time, maybe in 6 months' time or 2 years' time, they actually forget the problem itself, and then we are left with 2 years of 1.5 year of development work, which is not going to be right for the people who are going to be using it. So please focus on the problem, keep iteration, be adaptive, and then this is going to be the solution. And another question I just wanted to quickly address that this person, Umar, actually asked for the funding, how the JumpStart is going to help connect with the right people. But he used the word, how can just, I have a generic question. I have the idea. The idea is nothing. I have 200 of those ideas, which I can actually do it myself. I mean, I don't want the idea. I want the people who can actually build something. So focus on yourself. You have to focus on the team, not the idea itself. And second problem we have in the ecosystem is that people are looking for funding to build their idea. Nobody's going to give you the funding to build your idea. If you have something, use that money, ask me the money. I'll actually run after you to invest in your startup if you have something which I can scale. That's how you get the funding. So love the problem and forget about the funding at this point. Grow your company, get to a point where the investors are running after you to invest in your company.
Thank you. थैंक यू. ये आप लोगों को नजर नहीं आता, वरना नीचे मैं तबाही हरकतें कर रहा होता हूँ लोगों को रोकने के लिए. अजहर साहब, your last thoughts.
My last thought is कि I take it from the Khurram is left कि आपको फोकस करना है प्रॉब्लम पे, और पहली फंडिंग जो आपको मिलेगी वो मिलेगी आपके कस्टमर से. रेस्ट एश्योर, अगर आप 10 कस्टमर पकड़ लिए, दे आर द बेस्ट. दूसरी थॉट ये है, never go to anyone who doesn't know your business for funding. और तीसरी बात, उस वक्त जाओ now, meaning you should be able to meet your expenses. पहली चीज, find customer, make sure you have enough in the bank from people who don't understand your business. और तीसरी चीज बच्चों ये है कि always expect के ऊपर नीचे आएंगे, प्रॉब्लम्स होंगी, सब कुछ होगा. अपनी तनख्वाहों का बंदोबस्त करके जब जाओगे तो you can dictate your terms. Otherwise, मैं खुद अपने हाथ पैर कटा चुका हूँ एक बार. जब आप लोगों के पास जाएं सोच के कि बहुत बड़े आदमी है, मेरा बहुत बड़ा काम करेंगे, तो वाकई में बहुत बड़ा काम करते हैं वो. तो फोकस ऑन योरसेल्फ, योर प्रॉब्लम, गो.
आपने को बहुत ही खतरनाक बात की है, कनेक्शन भी ब्रेक कर गए इस बात.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Some solid advice there, very pragmatic advice. Thank you, Azhar sir.
Okay, anyway, sir. Comedy. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Next, Anwar sir, would you like to?
I'm sorry, आपकी आवाज थोड़ी सी ब्रेक कर रही थी.
Thank you. मैं इंतजार कर रहा था कि अजहर साहब अपनी बात मुकम्मल कर ले, लेकिन वो गायब ही हो गए. Okay, last thoughts. We're off.
जी, so बिल्कुल जी. So I'm, I think Azhar Saab has summed it up very well. You have your customers, which are really the key. We have plenty of opportunity in Pakistan right now, but everyone I think needs to know or remember and keep remembering that the journey is not short. I see a lot of people reading up on these big unicorns in the Silicon Valley and people coming out and making, having a company worth $250 million in 4 years. That is a unicorn, and that's unlikely to happen many times over in the same year. So I think people need to keep this in perspective. It's a long journey, and they need to be in it for the long term. They need to have that grit and keep it continuing. The rest, like I said earlier, the ecosystem is there, and it's a great time to be in this industry in Pakistan, or in any industry for that matter, because of the large size of our population and all the needs that are coming up now. So I think really
thank you for emphasizing on the journey part. We love the destinations. Ejaz bhai dil ghar mein chahu, manzil kafir. But asking for the destination never to come. to stay in the journey, to be part of this. What is that end? There is no end. The end is that we're going to die. But till the time we do, we have the opportunity to make a lot happen. Entrepreneurs do.
And plus, you had absolutely have the opportunity not just to do a lot for yourself, but for a lot for people around you. And really, that's such
It's
a
very
great feeling
fulfilling for
for
entrepreneurs. So
anyone
it's up.
to it.
Gee, I think most of it has been said already, but again, I will emphasize one. Opportunity bahut hai, and idea is not enough. You have to go to execution. And आपको funding उस वक्त मिलेगी जब आपके पास एक product होगा जिसके अंदर customers, as already has been said, कि customers paying कर रहे होंगे आपको. That is when other people will step in and say, अब मेरे पैसे भी ले सकते हैं आप. एक ये. दूसरी चीज ये है कि as everybody has already said, ये 1-2 साल का मसला नहीं है. ये आपको 5 से 10 साल लगेंगे, and 10 is more appropriate than 5. जहाँ पे आप एक बिजनेस बिल्ड करेंगे, उसको उस लेवल तक लेके आएंगे जहाँ पे वो कस्टमर को सर्व करेगा, उनकी प्रॉब्लम्स को हल करेगा, और फिर आपको जाके कहीं वो मिलेगा जो फंडिंग, जिसकी वजह से फिर आप जो ड्रीम कर रहे हैं वो पूरी होगी आपकी. सो इसमें सस्टेनेबिलिटी, परसिवियरेंस और मेहनत जो है वो सबसे बड़ी बातें हैं, उनको याद रखिएगा.
Wonderful. Thank you, Zouhair Sahab. And you live that, thorough gentleman. Every time, there's some people I've never seen of the persona that they have and the beings that they are. Wonderful. Thank you, all of you. You are terrific people. Thank you, Shahryar, for the opportunity. I hope we had a good conversation, a good dialogue here. Over to Shahryar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, all. I highly appreciate all of you. Your participation. I've known personally all of you guys for a very long time, but I'm really extremely honored for you to join us in this session and enlightening us with your knowledge, with your experience, with all your guidance. I hope all the viewers are actually benefiting from our talk, and not only the viewers who are online, but probably in the long run, when these videos are actually messages are being shared, and maybe hopefully people will get in touch with us to get a personalized or any opinion or something. I would I really would look forward to for those people who can hear us and come back to us, and if they want any further guidance, we'll be very happy to accommodate. And JumpStart is that platform that is this is one of the fundamentals of being a JumpStart in place to help you guys connect the dots. And so now thank you very much all for this session. Now moving forward, we are actually slightly few minutes delayed, but because of this very interesting discussion that we had, so now I'd like to invite our next panelist and very very good friend of mine, and also in their respective industries they have shown quite a lot of presence, their knowledge, their experience, their achievements. Without any further ado, I would like to invite, probably starting with, we have Saqib Dareshani from Canada, we have Fajer, Rabia, Pasha from Pakistan, and we have Mr. Kashif Khan from Kuwait. And so welcome you all for to be part of this JumpStart City Chapter initiative on the Venture Capital Conference. You're free, as you might have seen in our previous conversation, we're just trying to have a very casual talk, just emphasizing on the points that could actually help out. We would like to learn from you how you have reached to this point. So maybe I'd like to give the floor first to Mr. Kashif Khan to just give a brief introduction and tell us about your journey, where you're from and what you do, and maybe what venture capital means to you. And from there on, we will move on to Ms. Fajer, Rabia, and Saqib as well. Thank you very much. So over to Mr. Kashif.
Shahryar, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I think it's a brilliant platform where you can exchange ideas. And, I would say it's a truly global webinar that you have put together, where you're in Australia, people are joining from Pakistan, Middle East, UK, North America. So, this is a truly global platform. And, this proves one thing very clearly, that money never sleeps, right? We are in different time zones, and, we've been up. I have people, joining from UK in the middle of the night, and we all are very excited and very geared about Pakistan and its future, especially when it comes down to venture capitalists and startups. So I appreciate that you have put this whole webinar together. Just to briefly give you a little bit of my background, I'm an investment banker and a private equity professional. I've been in the industry for the last 22 years. I started my career back in New York on Wall Street. And then 18 years ago, I moved to the Middle East between Dubai, Bahrain, and Kuwait. And I worked with companies like Citibank and Deutsche Bank in the good old days when these companies mattered a lot. And then 8 years ago, I decided to become an entrepreneur myself. I started a boutique investment banking firm out of Dubai in the DIFC called Abwab Capital, and we were focusing more on the investment banking and advisory services, be it capital raising, debt and equity, be it mergers and acquisition. And very recently, in fact, last month, we've been absorbed by a fintech, New York-based fintech company called Wahid Invest, which is basically a robo-advisory firm, and one of the fastest-growing robo-advisory firms globally. It's a Sharia-compliant robo-advisory firm. They have 9 licenses all over the world, including US SEC, you have FSA UK, they have Dubai, DIFC, Saudi, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Indonesia, and different markets. So, throughout the session today, I'm happy to share more ideas in terms of what we are doing, and then obviously focusing more on the topic as well, where venture capital opportunities are in Pakistan and how overseas investors can collaborate. But let me just hear other speakers as well, and would love to know their introductions, and then we can jump in whenever you want us to.
Thank you very much. So over to you, Ms. Fajer, if you can have a brief introduction about yourself.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you very much, Sharia, for having me here. Just a brief introduction. Mr. Vishnu, I've got like 2 phases of my life. One in England, where I started off my own social enterprise with the name of Inspired Sisters, with huge amount of work with the government of England on empowering our ethnic minority communities, particularly women. So my background basically includes economic empowerment and education. That's where my focus has been throughout that time. Once I started to come to Pakistan, I really wanted to just keep coming back here and see how we can make a difference here, given that we've got quite a large network in England, and the idea was to see how we can bring change here. The buzzword that started about 7-8 years ago. With the new government that is now in place here now. So I came to Pakistan, being a social entrepreneur myself. I wanted to see what we could do in terms of helping people. So it wasn't just about opportunities in Pakistan for myself, but people around as well, and how we can really uplift the communities, particularly women, given that we unfortunately still rank at, I think, 151 or something, some bad number when it comes to equality in Pakistan, gender equality in Pakistan. That's when I got engaged in the education side, because I felt that though there is so much to do here, there is a lot of opportunity, but you've got to stay focused. And within that, I decided to choose and go for girls' education specifically, given that education itself is in crisis, and a huge amount of opportunity to do huge amount of good work here, and also gives us a platform when we're talking about uplifting women in the society. So that has been an amazing journey for myself since I've been in Pakistan for last 5-6 years, since I've been working on education, and more specifically girls' education as the executive director for Pakistan Alliance for Girls' Education, where we've done huge amount of work across Pakistan in establishing community-based schools where girls can access education much more easily than they can. Working with the government on policy and advocacy side, raising awareness both at government level as well as at the communities level, making people understand how important education it is for us. So being an entrepreneur and social entrepreneur myself, though I understand and see way too much opportunity. I think when you come from a different region in the world, then when you come to Pakistan, then you can see more opportunity than what I see now in UK, for example. I know there is huge amount of work that can be done, businesses that can be built. And interestingly, what I would like to add here, that when I came to Pakistan, I spent my first year traveling pretty much across Pakistan and looking at what is going on and what opportunities are there, and from gender lens specifically in terms of what women can do in terms of business setups and growth. So I realized, and I did quite a bit of study on it, where I sort of spotted a number of businesses where there's just so much growth, not just in Pakistan but then globally as well, and how women can be engaged in these businesses. So that's something that's really of my interest, in the way we're building the education side is to so lead all of these girls who are engaged in education to then entrepreneurship as well from this space. We know that businesses have huge opportunities in Pakistan. Everybody, the last panel has very, sort of nicely put that together as well. But I believe that unless we have that foundation in place with young people specifically, our growth is always going to be we'll always have a setback. And I'm sure that all of the great entrepreneurs we have involved at the moment within the ecosystem, they would say the same thing, that we need to work on our own foundation as individuals, as a country, and we need to make sure that before we start running after money, we have to fix that, because once we've got our foundations in place, money comes in anyway. It's just part of the journey. So that's that. So here's a bit of sort of introduction in terms of my own vision of being in Pakistan, that education and economic empowerment, I see both of them linking together. I understand that we can't just jump into earning huge amount of monies and building huge businesses. That only happens with luck. There's a lot of time that has to go into it. And I keep saying, as a mother, being a mother, that when you give birth to a child, you can't leave that child alone if you don't like it, if you don't like your child. So when you give birth to a startup, then you can't just leave that startup aside because you don't like it. Then you have to have that commitment, and your startup will take all those baby steps, and will have to go through that journey by the time it grows up and it's actually earning back for you. So, taking businesses as our own babies is very, very important. I've given, my own startup in England, which was the social enterprise. I think I raised it like a baby, literally raised it like a child. So, and that makes a difference. So
Thank you very much, Mr. Rabia. Very, very interesting journey that you have shown. Actually, I also have spent some of my educational years and my early career in England. So I can totally relate to what you've said, and summarizing it as just comparing a startup with a baby is it's just very easy to understand. And so now I'll move on to. So first, thank you very much for joining us and enlightening us with your experience. And of course, you'll be emphasizing on maybe one of the questions will arise from the importance of skill sets to gain in order to be ready to pitch your stuff. So now I'll move on to Saqib Dareshani from Canada. So over to you, Saqib. Please introduce yourself and tell us your journey, what are you doing, and what do you see in this venture opportunities in Pakistan as well. Thank you.
Sure. Sharyar, first of all, I just want to say, thank you for inviting me. I think this is a great platform for us Pakistanis to actually collaborate and talk. And, I'm excited. This is a very, it's like a quality broadcast, and I think sets the stage for, more and more events just like this. So one thing I'm really excited about Pakistan for is I really got excited last year. So I've been to Pakistan, at least a few times. But last year I was part of a delegation with some top Canadian companies and organizations, innovation minister and so forth. So it was funded by Global Affairs Canada. And we went to Pakistan, right? And we visited, accelerators essentially, basically Pasha, like the software organizations and so forth. It was a great opportunity to actually see, the entrepreneurial energy in Pakistan. And quite honestly, I was impressed. Alhamdulillah, there are very smart people in Pakistan, and they're building great companies, right? And just for a little background about myself, I've been doing mobile technology for the past 10 years now. Actually taught a university course here in Ottawa, Canada. And my company, we've done over 500 apps and 65 million downloads, and worked for the Canada Revenue Agency, Department of National Defense, and so forth. And now what we're doing is we're actually building companies. Actually, for example, we are launching businesses in a day online. And we're looking to hire more and more in Pakistan, actually. So we have a team already, but we're looking to hire more. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. So people, watch out. Saqib is looking for people to join him. So maybe this is one of the opportunities to get in touch with Saqib, and maybe once you have those opportunities, you can even share those opportunities on our on the JumpStart platform. And you never know that you may be you may get the right applications that you're looking for.
Sure.
And now, last but not least, my he's like my elder brother. He has always been my mentor, Mr. Sharjil Ahmed. When I was in UK, that's where I actually took all my guidance how to live in UK, where to buy food, where to eat, where to live. So over to you, Sharjil. Please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever we are doing it from. I think even only in this panel, we have 3 continents are sitting right now.
Sorry,
right?
Sharjil, we can't hear you
Australia,
properly.
UK. Can you hear me, guys?
I can hear you fine.
It's okay.
It's only Kashif. I think
Can you guys
always
hear
on the-
Sharjil? Everyone else, can you hear
Yeah.
Sharjil?
Yes.
It's you.
Kashif is Can you hear me now? All right. Okay, you guys. First of all, thank you, JumpStart, for this very good initiative, especially Shariar, Umair, Khurram. You guys are doing a wonderful job in organizing these events, and especially highlighting these very important topics, entrepreneurship and investment opportunities in Pakistan. I think it is very important for all of us to promote and highlight the issues and the problems as the early session has highlighted. Some of you may know already. My name is Sharjil Ahmed. Professionally, I've been into investment banking. Fortunately, I must say I always work as an entrepreneur, and being a founding member of 2 Islamic banks in the UK, Al Rayan Bank and Bank of London and the Middle East, which became the largest Islamic investment bank out of Europe. And then we set up the same institution in Middle East. During my career, I've also worked for various family offices, private equity and venture capital institutions, where our focus was mainly investments into infrastructure, technology, and real estate funds. Last 6-7 years back, I came across while I was advising an institution on technology funds. I came across fintech and blockchain, and everyone has started asking about what is blockchain, or what is fintech, and that realizes me that we need to learn a little bit more outside investment banking as well. And since then, my journey to blockchain and fintech has started. And since then, I've been a humble student. Last 2 years, I took a sabbatical from the industry, but with a view to bring innovation to the industry, to the Islamic banking industry, and generally investment banking industry. There are a lot of talks, there are a lot of discussions, but if we look at it, in reality, we end up in monotonous life, in monotonous schedule of the day, where there's not much innovation. So I took a decision and relocated back to London with a view to do more for the industry. So we established Cykube. I'm co-founder of Cykube. Cykube is a technology advisory company, and we are focusing on building ethical solutions based on fintech and blockchain. And the idea is to drive a strong financial and social impact. If there is no social impact, in my opinion, you are not doing much. So I think this is very important. The social impact element is very important for any investments. With regards to investments in Pakistan, I think I stopped here and let my colleagues to talk, and then I'll join in the discussion with regards to investments in Pakistan. Thank you, Sharia.
Thank you very much, everybody, for your very valuable introduction. So maybe I'll actually quickly redraft one of my questions before. Actually, the session is more about what are the opportunities, but I think we have slightly covered more of the what are the opportunities in the first panel. So maybe let's move on to the next level. What is the next level? As maybe it triggered the discussion by Ms. Fajer Rabia, that the skill set. So let's say you have talked about, Sharjil has talked about, we're talking about the new technologies, blockchain. We are talking about fintech. So how do we see that? At what stage of, let's say, education, or what set of education level, whether high school, schooling, where do you see that we guide our young students of the latest technology, latest happenings, in order for them to be ready for the practical world? So maybe if Ms. Fajar Rabia can just since you're directly related to the educational side, maybe if you can just shed some light on this, and how can we enable or provide an enabling platform for such potential students? Thank you.
I think I see a gap in terms of what's happening in Pakistan within the incubation centers, for example. Um, Not just actually, I see that within every sector that we look at, where even if I'm in the development sector, what I don't find is one single platform where you can find all the opportunities available for the development sector, for example, right? So we really need to work on platforms. We need to, and that's again another business opportunity. I see that creating a platform where all of the opportunities, not just in Pakistan but globally, can be showcased to young people so they can go back, see what can be done. I also see a major role that needs to be played by the universities. We don't see that many of universities in Pakistan are working they have the platforms, they have the resources, but we don't see much happening on that end. And I think there's a huge amount of work that can be done on that side. So not just from building skills, but then also introducing them to opportunities which are out there. And the world is full of opportunities. I think there's and young people need to be able to see that what opportunities are ahead of them within the education sector. What I also find is a lot of time when you're speaking to parents, and one reason they don't want to send their children to school is because they don't see the opportunity. They don't think there is any opportunity for the children, and that mindset stays with them and then with their children for a long time to come, and hence I think we end up wasting a lot of time of young people and the work they could have done within their lives, which is very sad actually. So that mindset needs to change, but that will only change if we can showcase those opportunities to people, and everybody needs to play that part within the incubation centers, within the universities. Young people also need to be able to take some responsibility for themselves, and not that everybody is on internet in Pakistan, but a lot of young people have access to internet now. They have access to social media and globally, and sometimes it's just a matter of doing a bit of search and looking at what's happening on the global landscape as well, and seeing how they catch also and where they can really get involved. At times it can get confusing as well because there's so much going on, and you lose your focus, and you need to keep very focused in terms of looking at the way forward that you want to choose for yourself, and that's where the mentoring and counseling and support comes in. And I always see, and I think Beria universities got this online incubation sort of services as well, where I think they're bringing in a lot of mentors who are online. I don't know too much about it, but I think they're bringing in online mentors, so you can go and sign up. There's also some like great platforms like that OIC has developed, which are more a global platform where, and I know a lot of young people from Pakistan have signed up on that platform as well, where they can access global mentors, so not just in Pakistan, but overseas as well. So there are opportunities there. More can be done by our universities, by our educational institutes. and by the incubation ecosystem that we've been building. And I think we've done a wonderful job in the last few years of having these NSCs in place, because we know that that's really, really pushed entrepreneurship in Pakistan. That's sort of really triggered the whole thing. But that needs to be taken to next stage now. I think that we've gone through the first phase. We're ready for the second phase now. Given that you will find a lot of young people who have gone past the idea stage and are ready for the step two.
Thank you very much. Actually, following up on this, my next question would be, probably I think it would be very relevant to Mr. Kashif. That let's say, you have developed, let's say, Abwab Capital, and then the Wahid Investments. What will make you to do something in Pakistan? What are the things that you're looking at? Okay, if this is in place, then my next step would be to do something in Pakistan.
Shahryar, great question. See, let me take a step back. Pakistan is a large consumer base along with nascent digital entrepreneurship landscape, and not many international players make to Pakistan. It's a great place for investment. Pakistan has a diverse startup ecosystem along with innovators and entrepreneurs. My view is that Pakistan is currently in the stage where tech-enabled startups are imitating ideas from successful American and European businesses model, and that have been, investors have their interest, and Pakistan is obviously, as I said, it's a big consumer market, so we need to capture that market. Now, in my personal capacity, I fall under the category of fintech. Investment banking, the traditional investment banking and the traditional asset management business, I personally feel that it's obsolete. I think the trend has been shifting towards digital, as we all agree. And, hence Wahid Invest is basically, the fintech robo-advisory service where you don't need a wealth manager, but you're basically doing your own wealth management. You just basically download the app and you'll start investing with as small as $100. And I'll give you the trend of Wahid. Wahid had 30,000 customers, retail customers in January. And in the pandemic, as we can see, the trend has changed. People were sitting home and all they did, anything to do with e-commerce, including investing. People had the money and they wanted to invest. And that's where the consumer base of 30,000 customers went to 100,000 customers just in 3 months. And that's the technology that we want to implement in Pakistan. Now, there are a couple of ways of doing that. Obviously, one way is to have Wahid Pakistan office, and we start the whole ecosystem there, and we become Wahid Pakistan as well. But then, what interest that we are seeing right now is banks are approaching us. They want us to be their digital arm. And we're implementing that model in Kuwait, in Saudi, with a couple of banks. We are in advanced level discussion. They don't want to go out and create their digital platform from the scratch. They would rather take Wahid as their digital platform and basically take advantage of the technology. And that's exactly where the opportunity is in Pakistan. All these banks are struggling to get into the digital side, but then on the other hand, not everyone has the top of the top technology, whereas Wahid has the global distribution network that can be utilized for Pakistani banks to distribute their products, be it ETF, be it funds, Sukuk funds or gold fund or whatever you want to call it. So that's where I see an opportunity for Pakistan. And then on the other hand, obviously, there are a number of other sectors. I personally feel that the top 3-4 sectors to invest as an investor, because I do investments on the side as well. As an investor, I look into opportunities. Agri-tech, in the previous panel, everyone was focusing on the agri-tech side of the business. Fajer is doing a great job on the ed-tech side, where universities and schools and nurseries are basically just everyone is working from home. Online education is the way to go, and I think Fajer is doing a great job in that. And then the last but not the least sector is health tech, right? People in this pandemic, people are self-isolated globally. Half of the global population is self-isolated at the moment, and they don't want to. Last thing they want to do is basically go to a hospital. So health tech is emerging like anything. You have your online diagnostic. You can get a hold of the doctor. You can basically get prescription, and you can basically get medicine delivered on your doorsteps. So that's where I think the opportunity is for Pakistan in terms of VC. And then, I'm happy to go on and add more to it later in the discussion, what as an investor from the Middle East are looking for into Pakistani market.
Cool,
Sharia,
cool. Very, thank you,
like
thank
to
you.
add if you allow me.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you, Kashif. Thank you, Rabia. I think you guys have touched upon very, very important aspects. And Rabia, as you mentioned, EdTech, yes, education, I think, is the way forward. I visited Pakistan in February earlier this year and had various discussions and did some sessions of emerging technologies on blockchain with various universities in Pakistan. And I can tell you there is a huge opportunity available in Pakistan. What we have started as a Cykube, the first thing we did when we have realized there is a lack of blockchain developers in the market. What we have started doing it, we have started recruiting students from Pakistani universities and give them opportunity to learn and get certified at the higher level, right? Where so we can give them a work, we can train them, and they can develop solutions not only for Pakistan, but for international market. And I think this is what we all need to do. Kashif talked about health tech. Kashif talked about fintech. So I think I need to take one step back. What we are doing for Pakistan, I think this is the caliber, this is the resource which we need, human resource, human skill set. We need to build in Pakistan so our youngsters, our entrepreneurs can offer their services to build these solutions to the international market. And during pandemic, we have realized as a company that there's a education and awareness is the key for emerging technologies. There are lots and lots of people are talking about it: fintech, blockchain, AI, this, that, robotics. How many people are literally working on it and understand the reality of the or the dynamics of this business? And I think this is where we need to develop a skill set. So we have launched Cykube Academy. We are working with leading universities from the UK and US and offer training and solutions, training for from startups to professionals and even to businesses and the government. So I think the key is here is from the Pakistan perspective, we need to give this skill set to our youth so we can have hundreds of thousands of developers sitting in Pakistan and building the solutions for the world. Uh, as Zouhair bhai mentioned in his panel earlier, there's 64% of population is millennials, which is a huge number. And I think we need to work with this generation, with this population, to make them tech savvy, which will enhance the FDI into Pakistan and also bring Pakistan onto the another level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very nicely summarized about the core issues that we're facing. That everybody's talking about the technology, fintech, blockchain, but how to do it. How to take the next step to get this set of skill set in our hand, and what we can do about it. Maybe I think now I'll request Saqib, because he's also in this domain for the past decade. If Saqib, you can describe, these you have seen among the panel talk, that what are the bottlenecks that we are facing, and you have been into this industry, you have been developing certain applications. What can be done in the educational edtech space that you feel that there's something still a room that could be done in order to help around the youngsters, help around doing any sort of business or expanding their market? What can be done by you, by your organization? What do you see? Thank you.
So basically, I would say that so education from a technical side is one thing, but showcasing the companies, and having those young people getting mentored is another, right? So basically, I'm actually affiliated with the ICT Forum, which is basically a partnership between Pakistan and Canada, where we're actually mentoring Pakistani companies and connecting them with businesses in North America, right? So we're actually building a platform where we have a group of mentors. These mentors, they're from BlackRock and high-end institutions, and we're connecting them with the companies and the incubation centers and so forth from Pakistan, right? So and EdTech is very important. Al Nafi, for example, I'm affiliated with them. They're focused on essentially providing these high-end, leading edge technology such as blockchain, AI, and whatnot, teaching that to the students at a very, very low cost, and basically getting certified and so forth, right? So, yeah, education side, yeah, that's massive, but showcasing them, showcasing the businesses, the Pakistani businesses, and where they have a platform where they're connected with mentors, and they're getting exposure from a basically exposure is very important, but the quality has to be there, right? Because where Pakistan should compete on is quality, because there's millions of companies out there, and I hear from my colleagues at LinkedIn, on LinkedIn, that they're always getting spammed emails from companies from other from South Asia and whatnot. Hey, we do development, we do development, we do development. So how does Pakistan stand out and differentiate? And I think one of those ways is having a unified branding and quality aspect to our to our branding. So.
Okay. No, very well summarized, and the importance of branding. I think probably branding comes over time. We got to be patient, as in our previous sessions we have mentioned that we got to the journey. As one of the panelists, Mr. Anwar mentioned about how important it is to be patient, and it's a big journey. It's not the destination that basically is as important, but the journey is as important as well. And you got to be patient, and you got to work on your brand, so your brand becomes known. So working on the brand itself, that once you have this brand, it will take some time. Maybe any of the panelists would like to highlight how important it is to work on your brand and make the brand known. So maybe starting with Ms. Fajer, and maybe then we're actually going towards the end of the session. So maybe even once we answer this question, and maybe we can say one of your last words for the session as well. So over to you, Ms. Fajer.
Obviously, branding and your marketing is obviously very important to the work that you do, and we need to be able to promote the business. Unless we are not promoting the business, then we're not going to the client. We're not going to get the clientele that we wish to see. But before the marketing and branding, as you've said, Shahryar, we need to make sure that we put our house in order. Some of the issues that I tend to see is, like, for example, since the e-commerce boom in Pakistan as well, we see a lot of small businesses online. We see a lot of small businesses on Facebook, which is great. But then what tends to happen is that their service is really, really poor. So if we can get our customer services right, if we can get our quality right, then we're ready to brand ourselves as well. I think that these are the two things. The more we brand ourselves, we can attract really, really good opportunities. And I can give a small example of my own organization, Pakistan Alliance for Girls Education, where I built the brand, I built the marketing, and we built a whole global network that supports the girls' education in Pakistan. But it didn't happen because I went to people personally, and I asked them to come and support girls' education in Pakistan. But it only happened because we built the brand correctly, and we promoted the brand and the purpose behind the brand as well. And that meant that so many people, hundreds and hundreds of people, have come forward to support girls' education in Pakistan. And I really hope that if we continue to build that brand and continue to showcase now the success stories, the issues we have, etc., we can attract more people to it. And that's all it comes to. That's how branding needs to be done. And just to quickly conclude my part. We wanted to talk about the opportunities in Pakistan, and there's some sectors that I really want to highlight that I think we miss out. We know that we've got a huge youth bulge. That's sort of one part of the puzzle. We know we have huge amount of resources in Pakistan, natural resources in Pakistan. That's another part of the puzzle. We know we have access to tech, and that's another building sector. So we need to be able to bring all of that together. When I conducted my own research in Pakistan on areas of growth, there's some areas that I think that have great potential of investments in Pakistan. That includes the marble sector, so and marble and all your natural minerals side. Balochistan, KPK, Gilgit-Baltistan, all of these areas are full of natural resources which we can really build on, and it's got a huge global attraction as well. But we lack the technology in Pakistan, by the way. I mean, when you look at sectors like marble, etc., we still can't extract our marble properly because we just don't have the technology to extract the marble in the way it is done in Italy, etc. So that's one thing. Our textile sector has been a huge support of our economic growth in the past, and there's still huge amount of work that can be done within our textile sector. We've offered very good quality of products to the world, and some of the businesses that I know based out of Faisal and have done such amazing work where they're working globally and really generating huge revenues for Pakistan as well. So these are the areas that where we can really focus. Furniture, nobody would think about furniture, but furniture in Pakistan we've got huge demand for Pakistani furniture, but also globally we've got a huge demand. Nobody has been looking on that. So that's like, if somebody's interested in investing, these are the areas that I think can really be of growth, not just in Pakistan but globally as well. And plus our cottage industry, where we're looking at a cultural side and we're looking at what beautiful products we come up with. Investing in women entrepreneurs and women businesses, given that one of the recent study has said that if we can invest into at least 25% more women-owned businesses, then we could really push our turnover up to $139 billion additional for Pakistan. That's just investing in women entrepreneurs, because women don't tend to get to access as many opportunities generally as men do. They don't have access to as many, they're not free to go with NICs and all of that at most of the time. So that's another area that we really need to focus on as a nation. And I really hope that people who are sitting overseas who have the capacity and connection and network, because that's one thing that we lack in Pakistan and most of the young people lack in Pakistan. If we can bring that together and really focus on that, then you're not just generating businesses for yourselves, but then we're also helping our young people and women in particularly set up businesses and access global markets. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very nicely summed up about the areas and where could be the potential areas that we could look into, and very nicely drafted. Thank you very much for that insight. So now maybe Mr. Kashif would be the next. If the importance of branding, and how do you summarize what are the particular areas of venture opportunities that you see that could be a potential in Pakistan?
I think, as Fajer rightly said, that branding plays a very important role in e-business. And what we're doing at Wahed, going back to the Wahed example, we are actually a couple of weeks ago at Eid al-Adha on Times Square in New York at the NASDAQ screen. You have a huge screen, a digital screen. We had Eid Mubarak Wahed, and that created a huge buzz in terms of branding. And my friends from London, Sharjil, and I think Fajer is in London as well. You probably see that on double deckers. You see Wahed branding all over the place. So obviously branding plays a very important role, especially if you're dealing with the retail market. It adds up a lot. With corporate, I think it's a different kind of branding that you need to do, but obviously importance of branding is there. Just to add a little bit on what Saqib said, I think very important thing and the gap that we see between the Pakistani young entrepreneurs, they don't have access to the mentors. They don't have access to the international funding. And that's a huge gap. And I think with what Saqib mentioned, ICT is the platform where you're basically bridging that gap. In my personal capacity from the Middle East, because I have access to the Middle Eastern investors, be it the venture capital investors, be it the family offices, or be it the private equity, we have created a platform called People. This is a not-for-profit platform, and People stands for Pakistani Executives Organization for Promotion of Leadership and Entrepreneurship. And our core competency, our USP is basically we look at the business plan coming from Pakistan, my platform, People itself, has most of the investment bankers and private equity professional people sitting on the executive committee and the board. And we help mentoring these business plans. We help them connect with the VCs in the Middle East, be it STV, be it MEVP. So I think that gap is there, and I'm happy to help ideas emerging from Pakistan through you, Shahryar, or Saqib, or Fajer, or Sharjil, where we can bridge the gap. Just to wrap up, I think it's very important for us to take Pakistan, to the next level in terms of the VC opportunities, startup opportunities, and in our humble capacity, be it in North America, be it in Europe, and in my humble capacity in the Middle East, we're happy to help in whatever way we can.
Thank you very much for the kind offer, for the generous knowledge that you have, and of course, definitely, this is just the beginning, that I would say. And whenever this message get across, and whoever we can help, we can connect, we will try to explore. And of course, even if you see any opportunity that you would like us to help you out in exploring, we would definitely accommodate that. So now maybe if Saqib can give his final words before we move on to the next session.
Sure. No, I've been really enjoying this panel and whatnot, and everyone is pitching in their ideas and so forth. And I feel I want to continue on this conversation and actually have next steps rather than just saying goodbye right now. So what I would do is, Kashif, we should definitely talk. We're building a platform, a matching platform, at the ictforum.org, and right now we're actually manually connecting people, businesses to mentors and so forth. So I think we can definitely collaborate there, because it's for the betterment of the Pakistan, entrepreneurship and whatnot. So.
Thank you. And last but not least, if Sharjil can share his final words, maybe on the branding, and also because we are actually a bit ahead of the time slot. So if you can quickly summarize of your thoughts. So over to you, Sharjil.
Sure. Thank you, Shahryar. Yes, I think as you mentioned, branding, and my colleagues have mentioned, branding is a very important, because until you build a brand, how you're going to sell your product. This is just to give you quickly, this is what we have done in Cykube. As I said, I'm a professional investment banker. When we started Cykube, what we have done in last couple of years, just to build a brand. And building the brand doesn't mean that we are going to the market and telling people we are Cykube, but we are going to the market. We are helping institutions. We are working with institutions, creating the awareness of emerging technologies. You need to create your own market. And if you don't create your own market, how you're going to sell your product? And this is very important, to bring the awareness of emerging technologies. And that's what we are trying to do with institutions, with governments, with especially Islamic banks, to understand before they deploy. So building the brand, of course, is the key. I must say Pakistan is a very beautiful product, but we need to build as a brand, and we need to brand Pakistan. We have a lot of opportunities. We have a lot of skill set, but what is missing, as I think we all collectively have agreed, the education, awareness, a bit of professionalism. I not say we are not professionals, but we need to give them the weapon of education. We need to give them, our new entrepreneurs, our youth, the weapon of the new technologies, emerging technologies, so they can learn, they can deploy, and they can work for themselves and for the country. I think regulation, I just wanted to take the opportunity to talk here a little bit about the regulation. Regulations are very important. If you look at it, current venture capital landscape in Pakistan, how many VCs in Pakistan right now who are operating, they have set up their funds in Pakistan? I don't think so, any of them. Now, it is not their fault. All of the VCs are set up their operations in overseas. Why? Because of the regulations. So I think we need to work with the government, with the regulatory organizations, to ease the investment for overseas investors and ease the investment even for local investors. We don't have much time, otherwise I would talk more about the untapped money, which is untapped liquidity, which is already present in Pakistan, but because of the regulations, they cannot invest. How many VCs in Pakistan are benefiting that liquidity? I don't think so, any of them properly. right? So they are, because they have set up outside. So for local investors, they cannot invest outside. So I think this is a separate topic. But Shahryar and all my co-panelists, please, we are very open to collaborate, to work together, to facilitate investments into Pakistan, to build from our platform, which we have built for education platform. We are opening up that for entities in Pakistan, for youth in Pakistan, for learning emerging technologies. Please watch this space. Come and work with us. We are encouraging our youth to start developing their skill set, especially on the development side, so we can have more youth in Pakistan to start building on emerging technologies.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sharjil, Kashif, Saqib, and Mr. Fajer, for all the valuable insights that you've given us and enlightening us with your, knowledge. And I hope our viewers will be, very informed. And this would be just the first step in order for them, if they are thinking on some of the same, on the same line, or any opportunity that they feel that there is an opportunity, and you have been just you have just shed some light on that. And so I think very valuable session, very thankful to your time and to call upon my request. So I'm very humbled with your generosity, and I look forward for our upcoming, your participation in our upcoming sessions, or whenever I visit Pakistan, or whenever we all collaborate in somehow. Most of the post-COVID, what has taught us is, how we can collaborate virtually. But definitely, whenever the opportunity and time allows, I would really, would like to collaborate between ourselves and find like-minded people for us to join hands together for the betterment of Pakistan. So thank you very much all once again. Really, I'm very thankful for you. And now we moving on to our next and final session. So now I'll call upon the founder and CEO of JumpStart Pakistan to be back with us again. Thank you very much. And now probably I would give the floor to our new panelist who has joined, and a very dear friend of mine, an elder brother, Mr. Zeeshan Bokhari, who has just joined us. And I think Miss Huma Ejaz has also joined us. So I'll start with Mr. Zeeshan Bokhari to please, first of all, thank you very much for joining us. And it just in a couple of minutes, if you can, just give us a brief introduction about you and what you have been doing, in the past, and what is your take on entrepreneurship in Pakistan, and how can we connect the dots? How can we connect the dots, help a potential startup or an SME, and hold their hand, or we should just how can we connect these dots and make them grow and give them the opportunity? So over to you, Mr. Zeeshan Bokhari.
Thank you for your generous words, Sharia. And Khurram, you're doing a wonderful job here. I think you're connecting people and bringing about the required change here. Those who don't know me, my name is Zeeshan Bokhari, and currently I am associated with the World Bank on the program for digital development. And we are about to invest into Pakistan. Of course, it's more of a preferential funding program. And prior to that, I was heading the international cooperation in the Federal Ministry for IT. And prior to that, I was country head for China Telecom, and so forth. And today, it's a very good and a very unique topic which you have chosen regarding the 10x growth, how we can actually connect the dots and move forward for our entrepreneurship ecosystem. Now there are actually two legs for it. One is achieving success in terms of overall success of the startups and growing into SMEs in terms of percentage. And the second leg is about growing an individual startup and achieving that 10x growth. So I'd like to start my conversation with a with a success story of China itself, because we are very much west-looking country, and we really focus on them. But in the process, what we have seen, or maybe what we have missed, is the growth of the Chinese ecosystem, the startup ecosystem, how they were able to actually take a leap frog and get into the competition with economies like the US. And actually, it's a very interesting journey, which I would like to share. That when I was director for marketing in ZTE, I was actually planning to have my own startup, and the startup actually was meant to bring the devices, internet devices, like the Bingle, the MiFis, and even the smartphones. So I had recently stepped out of ZTE, and I was doing my due diligence and trying to partner with different solution providers based out of China, some manufacturing companies, so that we can build our own product, just like we have Q Mobile in Pakistan and other such brands. And I went on to China, but we were very much focused in the B2B vertical. We were not into B2C. Since I had relationships there. So I went with a friend of mine who was a Chinese, and he took me to a factory, and we actually, visited their manufacturing facility. We went to their trading, team, and we negotiated with them about, we negotiated with them about how we, on what volume, what kind of discounts we can have, what kind of chipsets they have, and so forth. So eventually, we walked out of that facility after successful conversations. We walked out, and we went, since we were doing landscaping for the market, for the product we wanted. So we kept going from shop to shop, or from company to company. And later in the day, my handler, or my manager, who was actually handling all my these calls and meetings in China, he again took me to the same factory, and I was literally surprised. I said, why you're taking me to the same factory? We already had a meeting there. He said, no sir, I'm not taking you to the same company. And that actually that was a surprise to me. So what do you mean? I mean, it's the same factory, it's the same premises. He said, no, sir, actually, there is another trading company, and they're sitting in the same premises, and they are also providing the same solution. So that actually intrigued me. Now I was curious. I mean, what do you mean? Wait, what's this? Why are you saying this? And there is another trading company and selling me the same solution. The manufacturer on the back is the same. What's the point? So he said, no, sir, there is no one manufacturer on the back. There are several manufacturers on the back in the same factory. And I said, wait, there are several manufacturers on the back, and there are several traders in the front. And then there are several logistics, and there are several quality assurance providers, again, integrated in the same facility. Now, this was very interesting aspect, and I would like you guys to relate with how we are developing our startup ecosystem. But there is a lot of hush hush. There is a lot of spotlight on it, and a lot of talks around. But they were so focused. They were so energetic, and every person was equally interested to sell product of any manufacturer on the back, and any manufacturer was equally interested to cooperate with any trader on the front. Every quality assurance company ensured that their quality assurance mechanism was better than others. So this was a kind of a competition which was being created from within to push them forward towards a 10x growth. Now this is where we start actually. We take a specific case study, and we try to figure out that what are the impediments, what are the limitations, be it from the policy point of view, be it from the way we are building, putting our building blocks together. So this really blasted my mind at that point in time, and I could actually start relating and connecting the dots that how actually entrepreneurial ecosystem works in China. And this type of concept, the government comes in, they put in the regulations, they are very strict, they are very stringent with their own people as well. I mean, it's not as agile as the Western market on that side. But at the same time, they provide them the right infrastructure. That's it. They had those prefabricated buildings out there, and they put in a little bit of office equipment, and they said, okay, you move in. First 6 months, you don't have to pay the electricity bills or the rent, but after 6 months, you are liable for everything you do. And now we have incubation centers on the contrary in here in Pakistan, and we are more focused on a different kind of product or products in the digital space. But yes, the replication is always there. The concept of inclusion was there. So this is the first leg which I was talking about, that bringing about success on the whole for the entrepreneurial ecosystem. But the second leg is how we can take this individual startups to the next level. That's again we are lagging on the concept part, but I would leave you here because we have another participants as well, just a food for thought. Maybe they can actually put in that bit, and we can take this conversation forward.
Definitely. No, very, very insightful. I think the example that you have given, we can actually picturize how we can relate to it, how can we replicate this, and how we can build an ecosystem around that in order to encourage quality assurance, improve quality, improve competition. And very insightful. Thank you very much for sharing this very interesting example. And so now I would like to invite Miss Huma Ejaz. Welcome to JumpStart Pakistan and the Venture and Capital Conference. Just as Zeeshan did, we would like you to just shed some light on just a brief introduction about yourself, your journey, what you do, and your insights on today's topic. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Huma Ejaz, and I had been working for more than 14 years now in senior financial and managerial positions for finance and accounts. My last job was as a CFO when I finally decided that I won't go back to job again, and I started my own consulting firm. I had been a freelance consultant for last 4 years, and I've been working with several startups, tech startups mainly, and also some women-owned businesses as well. The ones जो घर से काम कर रही होती हैं छोटा मोटा काम. So I actually found out a gap कि जी इनको कैसे connect किया जाए टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ और सेल्स कैसे बढ़ाई जाए. So जैसे टेक स्टार्टअप्स की मैंने बात की तो I had been engaged with the टेलीमेडिसिन के कुछ स्टार्टअप्स थे, उसके अलावा रिटेल के, ग्रोसरी डिलीवरी के, इसके अलावा आई एम वर्किंग फुल फ्लेज as a tech startup consultant for Pakistan, maybe in Saudi Arabia and some US के startups भी I'm working with because technology more or less सारी same है. So I see a lot of potential in Pakistan और बहुत ज़्यादा लोग willing होते हैं कि जी हम पाकिस्तान से development करवाना चाह रहे हैं because it's less costly and more quality ज़्यादा बेहतर होती है. और तीसरी चीज़ आपने कहा आज के टॉपिक के बारे में. So yes, as I work as a financial consultant, मेरा रोल स्टार्ट होता है when you just have an idea for your business or you have already built a product. दोनों stages पे मेरा रोल स्टार्ट होता है. So what I tell startups is how you can actually connect dots. कहाँ पे आप synergy कैसे create कर सकते हैं और आप किस तरह से कौन कौन से फैक्टर्स हैं जो आपने इंपॉर्टेंट कंसिडर करने होते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल व्हेनेवर आई डिलीवर अ फाइनेंशियल मॉडल, उसमें मैं बिजनेस वैल्यूएशन करके रेवेन्यू स्ट्रीम्स आइडेंटिफाई करके जब मैं स्टार्टअप्स को देती हूँ तो उसमें सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ एक गैंट चार्ट होता है जिसमें मैं सारी चीज़ों को उनको बताती हूँ कि आपने लिस्ट करना है, आपने कौन कौन से टास्क कौन कौन से टाइम पे परफॉर्म करने हैं और आपने उसको किस टाइम पे कनेक्ट करना है. सो that's how you actually connect the dots. और आपका business बड़ा ज़्यादा important है, आपका startups की success बहुत ज़्यादा dependent है कि आपने dots कैसे connect किए हैं. ये exactly वही बात है जैसे हम बचपन में dotted lines 1 2 3 4 5 करके एक dinosaur या कोई एक animal बनाते थे या कुछ भी create करते थे. So all we have to do is as startups we have to actually put the number कि 1 कौन सा है, 2 कौन सा है, कौन सी line कहाँ पे connect करनी है.
Thank you very much for this. Sharing your insight on how we can actually take this step-by-step guide, especially for tech startups, and you've been helping those tech startups. So I think your input and your knowledge would be very helpful to all our audience who are into this space or at this stage, and they would like to take further guidance from you. So now moving on. To Khurram Zuberi Saab, who is the founder who put the first dot for JumpStart Pakistan. And we are just trying to help him out. I don't know if we have done any bit on connecting those dots, but then this journey started in 2014. Now we're sitting in 2020. So the dots between 2014 and 2020, maybe I would like to ask Khurram Saab to shed some light on that. And how do you see connecting and exploring those dots in the future, and in order to make something out, make some success stories out, what are the next steps? Let's see if we see JumpStart Pakistan has delivered this by 2025. What do we see? What are we trying to achieve? And how we as panelists, how we as viewers, how anybody could collaborate in order to connect those dots. Thank you. Over to you, Khurram Saab.
Okay, thanks, Sharyar. Thanks, Huma, and thanks, Zeeshan. I want to actually touch upon just a little bit on what Zeeshan said. I realized a while back, even before launching JumpStart, because there was about 2-3 years before that, there was this contemplation, pondering what do we need. So look at the actual ecosystem itself, the word itself. So we actually borrowed this term from the West, from the natural ecosystem. So in the natural ecosystem, you have a forest, and you do not actually go there to plant the trees. The trees actually grow themselves. They fall, and the new trees actually emerge from that, and then the system keeps on going. So you look at the forest, just walk into any forest, and then you will understand the ecosystem itself. So ecosystem by itself, you cannot actually put some restriction. You cannot actually put a foundation there and say like, okay, the ecosystem is going to actually grow this way. For that very reason, the Silicon Valley hasn't been able to actually create itself anywhere else. We actually tried that around the world. We tried to create the Silicon Valley many times. I mean, many of the countries actually tried that. No one actually came close to actually creating the same thing. Forget about the rest of the world. They couldn't even create that within the country itself. The same very people you're going to be actually building on, they weren't able to create that in New York or Houston, Austin. The closest I can think that is Canada is trying to actually build between, this corridor between Toronto and Waterloo. So there are like many other examples. I mean, same goes for China. China has got like a very unique, its own ecosystem itself. So when we actually trying to create another ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem in another country, one thing you have to realize that what sort of mentality those people have. So I started studying like Pakistani mentality. And I'll just give you one example. I mean, there are like many examples I can actually give you from, how we think, but we are very unique. I mean, I've actually traveled all over the world, but I couldn't come across a Pakistani mentality anywhere. To give you an example, like usually we actually give this example that, Pakistani do not stand in a line. हम line में खड़े ही नहीं होते. तो हमें, then I started looking into कि यार क्यों नहीं खड़े होते. So one break journey I had in Dubai once. And then, funny enough, there was a Air India flight got delayed as well. And the PIA flight I was supposed to catch. And both of the flights had those all illiterate people, like mazdoor bhare hue the sare uske andar na. मैं मेरा ख्याल है शायद only पढ़ा लिखा बंदा था उस पूरी flight के अंदर. So anyhow, they gave us the voucher, the food vouchers. So the whole Pakistani crowd from the PIA actually ran towards the McDonald's. So they ran. I started walking behind them, and then there's a Air India flight. So they gave them the voucher after like about 10-15 minutes. So I actually observed them as well. So they ran towards KFC. So the KFC guys actually told them, please line up. Line mein khade ho jaye sare. वो line में खड़े हो गए. Literally, they said to them कि सबको मिलेगा, line में खड़े हो जाएं. They stood in a line. अच्छा, वो मैकडॉनल्ड वाले पाकिस्तानियों की मिन्नतें कर रहे थे कि यार खुदा के लिए खाना हमारे पास बहुत है, आप खड़े हो जाए लाइन में. They wouldn't stand in a line. So I said कि अगर हम जो ये इसका आंसर देते हैं कि यार इनको सारों को पढ़ा दो तो ये मसला सॉल्व हो जाएगा, is because of the जहालत. अगर जहालत की वजह से ये है तो ये तो दोनों ही जाहिल थे. ये क्यों लाइन में खड़े हो गए, ये क्यों नहीं खड़े हुए? Then I thought about it. It took me 5-6 months after that happening. And then I realized it's not because of the jahalat. It's because we simply cannot stand behind another person. And you guys go and think about it. Literally, the reason we cannot actually stand in a line is because we simply cannot stand behind another person. We want to be actually at the first. And it's irrespective of how educated we are, how illiterate we are, how mediocre we are, doesn't matter. So, and you will see that there's another person popping on over your shoulder, looking at it and trying to actually go past you. So then I realized that we have inbuilt leadership qualities across the board. Doesn't matter who we are. So if you try to actually put some sort of order in any part of the Pakistani life, it wouldn't happen. It would be really difficult to actually make it happen. So think of it that, there are pros and there are cons. One of the, Bosnian president, he spent his time in 90s in Pakistan. And he actually wrote down many examples like that. So it was published in Jung. So he said, I saw a bus, and bus had like about 50 people sitting on top of its roof. And it was just going. So it came close to me, and then I started looking into the bus, and I looked closer, and I couldn't find a single person sitting inside the bus. And it's like, why? I mean, it makes sense that there's going to be people sitting inside and bus is full, so you sit on top of it. लेकिन वो अंदर कोई भी नहीं बैठा हुआ था, बस के सारे ऊपर बैठे हुए थे. So some of the things we actually do doesn't make any sense whatsoever. We are just like, commandos in a sense. So you have to really look at Pakistani mentality before you start talking about the ecosystem. And that's what happened. We tried to actually bring in all these incubation models. We tried to bring in all these incubators. We want to bring in all the VCs and Ps and mergers and acquisitions we want to do and all that. It's not going to work. We have to have a very indigenous ecosystem of Pakistan, and it's evolving. It's very well evolving. So that's just the preset for the whole conversation I was going to say. So from that, I realized that, okay, there has to be something very indigenous which is carved out for Pakistan. So that's why we, instead of incubation model, we came up with a greenhouse model where there is a hand holding needs to be done. So instead of an egg, you start treating them as a seed. You make sure they are not getting out of proportion. You trim their branches if they're going sideways. And this, I mean, just to give you an example, the tree, in order for tree to actually go up, you have to make sure that you trim the side branches. Then only the tree can go up. And if you bring that into an entrepreneurial ecosystem, I actually saw that one of the startup would get like 10 lakh रुपए win करते हैं, और सबसे पहली चीज उन्होंने क्या करनी है, स्टार्टअप इस्तांबुल में पिच करने चले जाएंगे, वहां पे 8 लाख रुपया खर्च करके आ जाएंगे. Those are the side branches. Somebody has to be there to actually cut those branches. And if some plant is not bearing a fruit, you chuck that out, you put the new seed in. And that's why you need that greenhouse approach. So that's what we took. We actually went into about 15 cities of Pakistan with that greenhouse approach. So you need a gardener for that. And for that, gardener is basically an angel investor. So we actually built this network of angel investors who would not just only give the money, but also handhold the person. Because I know what the startup is going to go through in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time, or a year and a half time.
I know very well. And when I invest in the typical Silicon Valley model or any other model, the investor is there to give you the money and then you get on with it. You just actually start working on it. Our people or our kid not gonna work. They need that gardening approach. And for that, you need a person who has got the skin in the game. We talked about in last session, a lot of mentoring. I mean, nobody damn care about the mentoring. यार मैं यहाँ पे बैठ के पट्टियाँ पढ़ा सकता हूँ 40 किस्म की, and they wouldn't listen to me because I don't have the skin in the game, and I'll damn care about them what they do. My mentoring doesn't mean anything to them. And Pakistani mentality, I have actually come across people who are talking to me. I could see in their eyes, what the hell? मैंने जो मर्जी करनी है मैं अपनी मर्जी से करूंगा. ये कौन होते हैं भाई साहब आगे मुझे बताने वाले, बाहर से आ गए हैं और पता नहीं वहां पे चला लेते होंगे. पाकिस्तान में जरा 45 डिग्री में खड़े होके ये खड़े नहीं हो सकते, एसी की गाड़ी से निकलते हैं और हमें आके यहाँ पे पट्टियां पढ़ाते हैं एसी के अंदर. So they don't have respect for you. Literally, I can see that in their eyes. पहले वहां पे वैगन के ऊपर उनके साथ सफर करो उस 45 डिग्री की, फिर शायद कुछ उनकी रिस्पेक्ट पैदा हो आपके दिल के अंदर. So for that, in order to make sure that they have the respect for you, they listen to you, you have to put the money in, you have to have the skin in the game. And that's what I did. So some of the startups I invested in, they actually value that money because I invested in. They listen to me. When after every month I get the report from them, they actually say, okay, fine, this guy has skin in the game. If I'm going to lose, he's going to lose also. So through that approach is the way forward for Pakistan, that we actually identify, instead of like actually having big fund created. That's why we never created the fund. We actually created a syndicate that the people actually come together and invest in those startups and they take them to the next level. I'm actually spending too much time on this, but just quickly wrapping up in a couple of minutes. So from that, we actually got to the point where we said, okay, fine, we have to actually make it a movement. So we call JumpStart a movement. It's not an incubator, it's not an accelerator, but although we are doing both of them, but this is a movement where trees grow by themselves. We do not actually go and plant the trees or seeds or like put an egg and then thinking that the chicken is going to come out of it. So Lift 2018 and Lift 2019, in which like about 150, 200 people came in from overseas. They saw with their own eyes there's a great potential. In 2019, actually, I think that was the world record as well. We had in 2 days 300 startup pitches. I mean, this by itself was just like, gobsmacking to some people that, okay, there are so many startup pitches, so many great ideas, so many people instantly actually got connected. Those 150 investors, they just said, okay, here's the money. Okay, we want to be part of your journey. And that actually created that buzz. And inshallah, in 2020, we're going to do the same. But our KPI is not just those connections. We have a figure. There is a tangible, measurable goal, which is to add $100 billion to Pakistan's economy. And that's what the goal is. That's a 5-year plan. But as I said in earlier session as well, that time doesn't matter. It can be achieved. SanDisk, when launched in 1990, didn't think of it that they're going to actually have the solid state memory fly off like in 3-4 years. They just kept on in 99 because the digital camera wasn't there. No computer was there. They just hanged on for 10 years for the digital cameras to come out. And now every single solid state memory built, some pennies goes to the SanDisk. You have to hang in there. So time doesn't matter. So we're going to carry on. And the first $25 billion is going to come from scaling 250 SMEs of Pakistan who are between generating a revenue between $1 million to $10 million. If we scale them to 10x, and scaling is going to happen overseas. So that's why we are building this global network, which is going to help them take their services, take their products overseas, and scale them. So cool. Yeah, that's
thank you
about that for a long.
No. Very, very interesting stories. I think maybe just to emphasize on what you've said. I think I just wanted to inform our audience that Zeeshan Bokhari, before I think joining the World Bank, he has been the Director General of the international coordination at Ministry of IT and Telecom in Pakistan. So I'm sure, in that capacity, he would have interacted with foreign companies coming into Pakistan, or at least showing some interest, or there is any opportunity, and what are the hurdles that maybe there might have been certain, like Alibaba, that came in and then they went through, and then but there might have been other startup major international brand that would have wanted to come into Pakistan, but for some reason they couldn't. So maybe if Zeeshan could shed some light on that, and what do you think is the bottleneck, and what do you think could be done in order to facilitate and open these doors for them to come into Pakistan as well? Of course, in addition to scaling existing 250 SMEs in Pakistan. So over to you, Zeeshan.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, first, before I answer your question, I'd like to take some stock from what Khurram said here about, developing an ecosystem and go into a jungle and, things start moving on their own. And, exactly that's what I meant. We need to first build an ecosystem and then start placing startups for a purpose. They are in a little bit of haywire right now, but okay, maybe this is the evolutionary process through which we have to go through. We are not because Harvards and Stanfords and all those Ivy League schools, even the community colleges, they build there is a culture which is there in the West. Same is the case in case of China. We all kept focusing on, okay, they are going to build another maybe Silicon Valley, and they actually they build a Nanshan district actually in Shenzhen. And that Nanshan district had so many Silicon Valleys from within, the sales guys coming in, the quality, the the developers, the manufacturers, the investors. They were all together in one building, and helping out each other's job, and they were all loosely connected. I mean, that's another good idea of connecting people together. It's not that you just have to pay them and do that. But on the other hand, as you mentioned, Shahryar, you're right. When I was in the ministry very recently, it's not a long time ago, since last March. And I was working on this, for technology, ease of doing business, and I was also part of the committee which, developed this e-commerce policy in Pakistan. And I'm sure that it's one of the achievements which Pakistan has seen in the recent past. So I'd like to just give you some building blocks about the problems which we are facing as a country as well. The problem which you would usually find with customs and FBR is they are having their own targets, and they are maybe due to some institutional limitations, they are unable to see that bigger picture. And that bigger picture within the government is there because nobody is ready to take the ownership, especially the technocrats. The technocrats are not willing to offer any sort of targets, because if I want a policy to be implemented and enforced on the market, as you mentioned that we want new businesses coming in, I need to give a target. Okay, that if you are going to give me this type of a leverage in terms of exempting the taxes for my digital economy, enabling the digital economy, I'll be able to furnish these kind of results. Now, this is something nobody's ready to take. Nobody's willing to take. Okay, this is the first thing. So everything is again very vague, and at times you don't see, because I have been working on international policy, working with ITU and the APT and the ICANN, and representing Pakistan as the focal person. So what they do is they define a target at first. They define a strategy, and then again, coming back to what Khurram said, developing that particular ecosystem, and then they start connecting the dots on that side. Okay, if I have to achieve an X goal, I have to do A, B, C work. Like for instance, if I have to, through digital economy, if I have to go paperless, and I have to, in a monetary term, I will be able to save like $25 million a year for the government, then I start putting my building blocks together that, okay, how it is going to start, what is the MVP, how it is going to scale, and how I'm going to enforce it through policy and regulatory framework, right? So this is completely missing on our part. We don't push, and once these technocrats, they start pushing things, then we have the bureaucratic layer, which is sitting there to ensure that, okay, they don't get irrelevant. But it's not about being irrelevant. I think some very good bureaucrats, they also understand that they are talking about larger inclusion. They're talking about more. They're talking these technocrats. Some I would say radical technocrats are talking about more inclusion. And maybe dragging some of the good bureaucrats along, and helping them with what they think is going to make them irrelevant in the system. So first of all, yes, I was part of two special committees. One was ease of doing business, and one was Prime Minister's task force on economic diplomacy. And that's where I presented a case for having technomats, the technological diplomats, because the commercial diplomats have their own limitations. They are generalists. They don't understand technology. They don't understand. So there were ideas which were presented even to the president of Pakistan that, okay, we should have we can do the training for our commercial diplomats, but training is not enough. It's not about just connecting to any specific company or any specific trade union, association on that side. It's about first understanding the implicit problem of a customer sitting on the far end, and then bringing it all together and connecting the right people to take care of with it. So I was of the view that under the international cooperation, we can have this kind of new ideology where we have, just like commercial counselor, tech counselors, so that they get. But again, due to financial limitations, the government couldn't actually, take it forward. Another aspect was another program which is still, sitting in the ranks right now within the government, is that with the incubation centers which we have already developed, we have actually created universities of incubation, and startups, and we have actually forgot very uprightly, to develop the schools of entrepreneurship and startups. Now, the school actually means we are trying to target the target audience is the bottom of the pyramid. Now we have formal startups. We want to give the opportunity to again a specific niche, and that is what is not creating the disruption in the market right now. And for that, I had a couple of initiatives which I had proposed, and the concept notes and concept papers were already approved in principle by the secretary and the minister at that point in time. But since I moved on, I'm sure that some of my colleagues and they will further pursue it, and you'll be seeing some very interesting programs on that side. So one was the VPitch, the virtual pitch program, and I'm sure Khurram and people, it was a public-private partnership program in which we wanted the private organizations to come in, and we develop a platform and help startups to connect with these angel investors, VCs and CVCs, and at the same time with the mentors and some supporting staff like the financial modeling experts, the legal modeling expert, and so forth. And that was all integrated in a concept of a marketplace. This was one thing. The other thing which was I planned to create, and I also submitted an idea, was a multi-purpose center concept. It's on similar line as that of China, where we have the training centers, the incubation centers, and the co-working spaces, all operating in the same premises. Now you can relate and connect the dot with the example which I made in my initial statement in this conversation. So this was actually meant to take the benefit to the grassroots, and we chose, there is an organization called NEFTEC, which is meant for vocational training, and they have 300 technical vocational education centers nationwide. So if we could have taken these micro incubation centers, or this concept of micro multi-purpose centers, I think this could have also disrupted and bring about that 10x growth within the society. But again, yes, there was a lot of hand-holding required, as rightly pointed out by Khurram, because we are actually trying to push the agenda of entrepreneurship once again through the people who have been sitting with academia for a long time. Academia cannot do it. If they could have done it, we wouldn't have been sitting. I mean, no, actually, offense to them, but actually, they have their own area of expertise which I don't have. And the area of expertise which I have, maybe they don't have it, and we need to actually make them understand this. And that's what gap filling is all about. Thank you.
I think, yeah, very, very variable, last bit of points that you mentioned, that we got to appreciate what we know and what we don't know. Once we realize that, only then it's a open ground that we could collaborate on, that your expertise, the expertise of the people in front of you, and you see a common ground to collaborate in order to grow. So I think my next question would be, I think we're just about to end our session, and then we'll open it for Q&A. So just before we end, maybe to Ms. Huma, what you have started, you're a financial consultant, you are a digital business transformation consultant as well. These are the services that you provide. So अगर आप जिस स्टेज में थी, let's say 4 years, 4 साल पहले, and you see yourself now you have clients in Saudi Arabia and overseas, in addition to your services, your market in Pakistan. So now if you want to take your journey as an example, and you want to guide a tech startup or any startup, what are the steps that they need to initially take, and how they could follow your footsteps? What is the advice that you would give, that if you want, because there, I'm sure you would have grown over the years, right? So what is your motivation level, and what is the steps, the practical steps that you have taken to reach where you are right now?
Thank you so much for the question. How I would answer your question is, I would actually tell कि आपने ये जो dots हैं कैसे connect करने हैं. Obviously, as I told you कि 4 years ago when I started, तो मुझे कोई direction पता नहीं थी कि किस direction में जाके startups के साथ काम करना है. So what I started was from a basic financial model, जिसके अंदर हमने ये पूरी चीज़ define की कि एक आइडिया से आपने रेवेन्यू कैसे जनरेट करना है, बिजनेस वैल्यू कैसे करना है, उसकी शेयर प्राइसिंग कैसे करनी है, इन्वेस्टर को पिच करना है तो उसको क्या बताना है कि जी कितने शेयर्स के अगेंस्ट आप हमें कितने पैसे देंगे, और उसके बाद फिर आपने जो आपको अगर फंडिंग मिल जाती है तो आपने बजटिंग कैसे करनी है, और कौन से स्टेज पे यू हैव टू इंश्योर यू स्टार्ट मेकिंग रेवेन्यू. ठीक है, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली जो भी है कहीं ना किसी स्टेज पे जाके आपके पैसे खत्म हो जाने हैं, और आपका जो नेक्स्ट इन्वेस्टर है वो तब तक नहीं आना जब तक आपने पैसे बनाने शुरू नहीं करने. सो जो आप कनेक्टिंग डॉट्स की बात करते हैं, ये 2 एंगल्स पे काम करता है. एक होता है आपके विद इन दी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, उसमें क्या है जी, आपने अपना बिजनेस मॉडल बहुत अच्छे से अंडरस्टैंड करके डॉट्स कनेक्ट करने हैं. उसमें आपकी फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग आ जाती है, फाइनेंशियल मैनेजमेंट आ जाती है, उसमें आपकी मार्केटिंग आ जाती है. उसमें आप सबसे, मेरे ख्याल में जो सबसे ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है वो यही है कि आपने अपना फाइनेंस कैसे प्लान करना है, कौन सी स्टेज पे आपके पास पैसे ख़त्म होने के चांसेस हैं, उससे पहले कितना अर्सा पहले आपने प्लानिंग शुरू करनी है कि नेक्स्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट रेज करनी है, या आपने अपने एक्सपेंसेस उस तरह से थोड़े कर्टेल करने हैं, या फिर आपने नेक्स्ट इन्वेस्टर कैसे ढूंढने हैं. क्योंकि जैसे ही आपकी फंडिंग खत्म हो जाती है, डेफिनेटली पैसे खत्म होने के बाद आपको पता है क्या होता है कि जो आपके अच्छी खासा सीरियस कंसर्न शुरू हो जाते हैं. सो एक ये जो पहली चीज़ है जिसके बारे में मैंने बात की, वो है आपकी विद इन दी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, कि आपने मैक्सिमाइज कैसे करना है अपना जो सिनर्जी कैसे क्रिएट करनी है, और इंश्योर कैसे करना है कि आप मैक्सिमम जो है मिनिमम टाइम के अंदर आप रेवेन्यू जनरेट करना शुरू करें, और अपना जो है आप सेल्फ रिलायंट हो जाएं. ठीक है. दूसरी चीज़ आती है कनेक्टिंग डॉट्स आउटसाइड दी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. اس کے لیے آپ کو کیا کرنا ہوتا ہے کہ آپ نے دیکھنا ہے کون سی الائنسز آپ نے کرنی ہے, کیسے آپ نے کسٹمرس کے ساتھ کیسے کنیکٹ کرنا ہے, آپ نے اپنے سپلائرس کے ساتھ کیسے کنیکٹ کرنا ہے. سو یہ جو پورا ایک بزنس چلانے کا جو ایکو سسٹم اس کو کہہ لیں گے جی, سپلائرس بھی چاہیے, آپ کے کسٹمرس بھی ہیں, آپ کا ٹیک بھی ہے, آپ کا HR بھی ہے, آپ نے ان سب کو کیسے میکسیمائز کرنا ہے, کیسے کنیکٹ کر کے سنرجی کریٹ کرنی ہے, اور آپ نے اپنا آبجیکٹیو کیسے اٹین کرنا ہے. سو میرا جو بھی 4-5 سال کا 10-12 اسٹارٹ اپس کے ساتھ ایکسپیرینس ہے, اور یہ سارے وہ اسٹارٹ اپس ہیں جو ماشاء اللہ سکسیزفلی رننگ ہے اور چل رہے ہیں, پیسے بھی بنا رہے ہیں. سو آئی ہیڈ بن لکی کہ مجھے ایک پریکٹیکل ایکسپیرینس جو ہے وہ اس اینگل سے مل گیا. اور وٹ آئی ووڈ سے از, جیسے ابھی ہم بات کر رہے تھے کہ جی اگر آپ ایوریج نمبرز دیکھیں تو پاکستان میں اس وقت مور دین 12 انکیوبیشن سینٹرز ہیں, 5 سے زیادہ ایکسلریٹر پروگرامس چل رہے ہیں, اور تقریباً میرے خیال میں 9+ انویسٹمنٹ پلیٹ فارمس بھی چل رہے ہیں. اس کے لیے میں یہ صرف بات کرتی ہوں کہ ایک چھوٹا سا جو پرابلم آ جاتا ہے ہمارا ہے وہ فار سم ریزن, میں نے یہ پریکٹیکلی دیکھا ہے کہ جی فائنینشیل پورشن کو اتنی امپورٹنس نہیں دی جاتی, حالانکہ دیٹ از دا موسٹ امپورٹنٹ پورشن. آپ کی ٹیکنالوجی ڈیولپ کرنا سارا بہت امپورٹنٹ ہے, بٹ آپ نے پیسوں کو ضرور دیکھنا ہے, آپ کا ڈیبٹ کریڈٹ جو ہے وہ میچ ضرور ہونا چاہیے. اور ایٹ دا سیم ٹائم جب آپ اپنے ڈاٹس کنیکٹ کر رہے ہیں, فرسٹ تھنگ جو میں نے مینشن کی جیسے فائنینشیل مینجمنٹ کی بات ہوئی, دوسری چیز ہے آپ کی کہ آپ نے جب ڈاٹس آپ کنیکٹ کر رہے ہیں تو آپ نے اپنے رسک کیسے کور کرنے ہوتے ہیں. فار ایگزامپل آپ کنیکٹ ڈاٹس کے چکر میں آپ اپنی انفارمیشن آؤٹ کر سکتے ہیں, آپ فائنینشیل پلان شیئر کرتے ہیں, آپ بزنس پلان اپنے آئیڈیاز شیئر کرتے ہیں, تو آپ کا وہ پھر وہی جو بات ابھی مینشن ہو رہی تھی کہ لیگل ایکسپرٹس کی بات ہو رہی تھی, تو جی آپ نے وہ چیز دیکھنی ہوتی ہے کہ آپ نے اپنا رسک کیسے مینیج بھی کرنا ہے اور اس کو میٹیگیٹ بھی کرنا ہے. رسک لینا تو آپ کو پڑتا ہے, بٹ اس کی میٹیگیشن کیسے کی جائے گی, یہ پلاننگ پروسیس میں آ جاتا ہے. تو میرے خیال سے جو ہمارے اسٹارٹ اپس کا پرابلم ہے وہ یہی ہے کہ جی ایک تو دے ڈونٹ سیک دا رائٹ مینٹورشپ, یا پھر رائٹ پیپل, دے ڈونٹ اپروچ دا رائٹ پیپل. اور ایک اور جو بہت بڑا پرابلم ہے وہ یہ ہے کہ یہ سائلوز میں کام کر رہے ہوتے ہیں. ہر انکیوبیشن سینٹر جو ہے وہ اپنے مطلب کولیبوریشنز میں نے بہت کم دیکھی ہیں. اور اس کے علاوہ جو مجھے لگتا ہے وہ یہ ہے کہ سنرجی بالکل کریٹ کی جا سکتی ہے. اور ایک اور چیز جو کہ مطلب فار ایگزامپل میں ٹاکس دیکھتی ہوں, سارا انفارمیشن جو شیئر ہو رہی ہوتی ہے وہ بہت تھوڑی سی ایک اسٹریٹجی لیول پہ ہوتی ہے, حالانکہ اگر آپ اسٹارٹ اپس کو دیکھیں تو وہ بڑے بیسک لیول پہ ہوتے ہیں. ٹھیک ہے, تو میری کوشش یہ ہوتی ہے یا کہ جی میں پہلا کویسچن جو میرے پاس کبھی کوئی اسٹارٹ اپ آتا ہے, میں ان سے پہلے سب سے پوچھتی ہوں جی آپ نے پیسے کیسے بنانے ہیں, اس آئیڈیا کو مانیٹائز کیسے کرنا ہے, آپ کا ایگزیکٹلی بزنس ماڈل کیسا ہے, آپ کو پتا ہے آپ کی مارکیٹ میں آپ کو اگر یہ پروڈکٹ لے کے جا رہے ہیں یا سروس لے کے جا رہے ہیں تو آپ کو اتنے میں آپ کا بائر اویلیبل ہوئے گا یا خرید لے گا, یا آپ کا بائر بلڈ ہونے میں اگلے 2 یا 3 سال لگ جائیں گے. فار ایگزامپل اگر آپ 10 سال پہلے جائیں تو شاید اوبر کریم کی مارکیٹ نہیں تھی, لوگوں کو نہیں پتا تھا کہ جی آپ ایسے ٹیکسی میں ٹریول کر سکتے ہیں, بٹ ناؤ دے ہیو مارکیٹ ایوالو ہو چکی ہے, اب بہت کمفرٹیبل ہے کہ ہم موبائل ایپ پہ کچھ بھی بک کرائیں اور گھر میں ریسیو کر لیں. پہلے تھوڑے سے ہم ریلیکٹنٹ تھے کہ جی کریڈیبلٹی نہیں تھی یا کانفیڈینس نہیں تھا. سو کچھ اس طرح کی بھی پروڈکٹ سروسز ہیں جو کہ وڈ ٹیک سم ٹائم, کچھ سال لگ جائیں گے ہمیں اڈاپٹ کرنے میں ایز اے ہیومنز. اب فار ایگزامپل اب گروسری کو جو ہے آپ ڈیلیوری جو ہے وہ بڑی ریئر تھی, بہت کم لوگ ریلائی کرتے تھے, ایوری بڈی وانٹیڈ. فار ایگزامپل میری پرسنل ایکسپیرینس یہ ہے کہ میں خود جا کے سبزی پسند کر کے خود دیکھ کے تو جو ہے سبزی گھر لانا پسند کرتی ہوں, بٹ نہیں جیسے یہ لاک ڈاؤن کا پیریڈ آیا تو ہم نے دیکھا کہ جی 5-6 مہینے ہم سب نے گروسری ڈیلیور کروائی. سو سی ایک وہ اڈیپٹیشن آٹومیٹیکلی آتی جاتی ہے کہ جی, اور وہ آبویسلی وہ ٹائم پہ ڈیپینڈنٹ ہوتی ہے کہ جی پری اسٹیج میں آپ کی مے بی آپ کی جو ہے پروڈکٹ یا سروس اس کی فی الحال مارکیٹ ایگزسٹ نہ کر رہی ہو, یا آپ کو کریٹ کرنی پڑے مارکیٹ, یا آٹومیٹیکلی وہ چیز ایوالو ہو جائے. سو اس قسم کی بات بہت ساری چیزیں ہیں جو پریکٹیکل آپ نے چیزیں ہیں وہ بہت بیسک میرے خیال سے مطلب بہت بیسک والی چیزیں آپ سیلس پرسن کے حساب سے سوچیں کہ جی میں یہ چیز بیچنے جا رہی ہوں تو کوئی خریدے گا کہ نہیں خریدے گا. میرے خیال میں ہمیں یہاں سے اسٹارٹ کرنا ہے جب بھی ہم کوئی اسٹارٹ اپ کے لیے بات کر رہے ہوتے ہیں. پھر اس کے بعد آبویسلی پھر بزنس ایکسپینڈ کی بات کرتے ہو, آپ اسٹریٹجی کی بات کرتے ہو, وہ تھوڑا سا ہائی اینڈ پہ باتیں آ جاتی ہیں, سو زیادہ پڑھے لکھوں والی باتیں ہوتی ہیں. سو بیسک جو پہلا کام ہمیں کرنا ہے وہ یہی کرنا ہوتا ہے کہ جی بیسک کیا کرنا ہے, پیسے کیسے بنانے شروع کرنے ہیں, کس کو کتنے پیسوں پہ ہائر کرنا ہے, پیسے کہاں سے بچائے جا سکتے ہیں, کو برانڈنگ کیسے کی جا سکتی ہے, کسی اور کا آلریڈی پلیٹ فارم ہے وہ کیسے یوز کرنا ہے. سو یہ یہاں پہ آ جاتے ہیں جب آپ آؤٹ سائڈ یور آرگنائزیشن ڈاٹس کنیکٹ کر رہے ہوتے ہو.
Thank you. No, very, very valuable information. I think some of the core issues that has been highlighted by Huma. Maybe I'll put forward these and I rephrase them as a question to Khurram Saab, ke how JumpStart is addressing some or maybe all of these issues.
So, Sharyar, really good points raised by Zeeshan as well as Huma. One thing I would say, when you actually look at these, the 10x growth, the 10x growth doesn't happen by growing 5%, 10%, 20%. It has to be exponential growth. Then only you can have 10x growth. So first of all, you have to understand that. Secondly, somehow, I mean, Zeeshan actually shed a light on some of the initiatives government has actually taken. I have interacted with government and ministries, highest level when we were actually working on the lift and during the JumpStart as well. One thing I mean, I have this conviction now. I mean, the belief has gone to this conviction level that I can vouch for it that government cannot play any role in building this ecosystem. Now, I'll tell you why. Politics could be a solution or has been a solution in some countries. And I'll go back to that point. That we are Pakistani. Just go back to the Pakistani mentality and then you'll come to that. Now, it has happened in Turkey that one person actually come on the top and he actually changed the country in 20 years. One person came on the top and then changed the country in Singapore. One person came at the top and changed the country in 30 years in Malaysia. It's not going to happen in Pakistan. We do not have that DNA in us that we follow one person. वो आता है, ये ऐसे नहीं लतीफे बने हुए कि यार वो जहन्नुम के सारे गड़े होंगे, पाकिस्तानियों का जो गड़ा होगा उसके बाहर फरिश्ता नहीं खड़ा होगा, बाकी के साथ सारे फरिश्ते खड़े होंगे, वहां क्यों नहीं खड़ा होगा? इसलिए नहीं खड़ा होगा कि दूसरा पाकिस्तानी उसकी टांग नीचे खींच लेगा वापस. So there is a theory behind it. You have to start thinking from that perspective. So the politics is definitely not the solution for Pakistani problems. Secondly, the other strategy you take is the philanthropy. And philanthropy, we have done that in past 70 years. Yeah, overseas Pakistanis has been sending money left, right, and center. Millions of pounds and dollars come in every month, and is for zalzala aa jata hai to sare wahan pe pahunch jate hain. You see that, but this is not a sustainable solution. Idi saab chale gaye, unhone ek problem solve ki thi, ambulance ki. Everybody had the Pakistan mein ambulance ki. So ho gayi, Imran Khan ne hospital bana diya, but this is not a sustainable way to solve problems. The only sustainable way through which you can actually solve problems in Pakistan is entrepreneurship. Just understand that point, for God's sake. So if that's the solution, then what government has? Does government has any role to play? No. Government around the world has got just two things to do: collect the taxes and then spend on the welfare of the state and run the operations and provide you the security. That's all. Yeah, ready wale ko. I mean, imagine if I'm ready wala, I'll just go on the street. I'll start doing a business from tomorrow. But if I'm a startup and if I want to raise the funding, it would take me 6 months to a year to get to a point where I'm going to actually be able to give the shares to another company. I mean, thanks to PTI government, it came in like in SECP regulations has been changed in past few months, but and the company can be formed in few days, but it wasn't the case. It was like 6 months before you actually have your company. It's going to be like another 3 months before you have a bank account. And God forbid, if you have to actually raise the money from some overseas person who's really passionate about investing in the startups, would invest in even $10,000, and if $10,000 flow into Pakistan, State Bank would raise a red flag right then and there. And then what's going to happen? Who is this guy? What's his background? Security check, this and that. Oh, and SCCP has to say that this many shares is going to go to that person. You go into 7-8 months security checks. $10,000. Forget about the rest. This is what the government is doing. So I say, for God's sake, government, please step aside. Let us do our job. Government doesn't open incubation centers. Government doesn't open the IT parks. Have you seen anywhere in the world apart from China? I mean, China has a very specific order, a specific way of governance. Pakistan claims to be a parliamentary form of democracy. When somebody comes in, it's a politically motivated, go and the cronies actually get benefited from that. Whatever whatever the programs you're going to launch, and then in 3 months, 3 years time, when the government is going to go, some new government is going to come in, they're going to scrap it, and maybe even before that, you never know. So the only thing government can actually do in this whole cycle is to please step aside and then start removing the regulations. Regulations are the killer. So basically, just when Obama came in, he said, for every regulation we're going to bring in, we're going to take the 2 regulations off. So the only thing what Zeeshan was saying in terms of the ease of doing business, that's the only thing to do. I actually recommended, and that's very early days of PTI government, like about a year and a half ago. I said to them, forget about, you opening up all these incubation centers and the SEZs, your special economic zones and all that, you are allocating your, just forget about that. It's going to take you about a year and a half. And it took them a year and a half before actually opened up one in Faisalabad. And there's going to be an opening couple, 2. I said to them, look, do one thing, and then we're going to start working with you guys. And we're going to bring in, truckloads of, like plane loads of entrepreneurs from all over the world if you do that. And that was one thing I asked Abdul Razak Dawood, sitting in front of the commerce minister for 2 hours. I said, we're going to test you. Forget about me, you helping us. I'm telling you, you do this, and then we're going to do all the rest of it. So what was that ask? That ask was that PSCB has got STPs, 13 STPs, 10 of them, and then 3 plus, which are like sort of, so I'll consider it 13 of them. I tell them, convert those existing STPs. And I'm not saying like convert my building, but convert those STPs which Pakistan Software Export Bureau, which is the official government body, has declared that these are the 13 STPs, convert them to SEZs. They couldn't even do that. And that was a stroke of pen, just right. I mean, executive order, those are converted to SEZs. And they couldn't do that. Like it's a year and a half has gone. So government has, when you expect something, that government is going to give you funding, government is going to do this, understand how government works. And Zeeshan would shed more light on it. Government cannot actually give you money. They have to actually come up with an RFP, issue an RFP. It's going to go into the planning commission. Planning commission is going to write a PC1. PC1 is going to be converted into is going to go into the finance ministry. Finance ministry is going to put that into the next budget. That next budget is probably going to pass like in 6 months' time. Like 2 years down the line, you're thinking to actually open one SEZ. This is not going to work. We are like in really emergency to actually declare something. And it's simple conversion of one building into SEZ. So we have one window operation. Open a SECP, one room in that building of SECP, one room for State Bank, one room for FBR. And then one person walks in, coming from Norway, landing in Islamabad airport, going into that one STB, forming a company in the morning. At afternoon tea, you have the company, you have a bank account, you have the company registration, everything. You walk out of that building in the evening at 4 o'clock and you have everything set up. You couldn't do that, for God's sake. It's one thing. It doesn't take any effort, nothing. So please, government, step aside. Let us do our work.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to answer Shahryar. I'd like to answer this one. And this is very getting interesting. And that's like a little bit of macro talk. I'd like to make it Khurram a little bit more explicit, and I'll try to answer on specifics. First of all, we need to understand the concept of SEZs. Again, since I was international coordination in the ministry, so I was a preacher of all international best practices, be it in ease of doing business, be it single window operations, be it the policy development and so forth. So yes, I totally agree, and most of the bureaucrats, even the government, agrees that less governance is the best governance. I totally agree with you, and a lot of people would agree. Even if you sit with some, even bureaucrats would agree to that. But the problem is also, just you actually mentioned about the problem. Problem is, the awareness of the people. And these regulations are not because we want to actually, bulldoze or, limit people from doing something. The negative element of our people is always overwhelming than the positive aspect of it. Just give you a simple idea. Yesterday it was the 14th of August, and we could see a lot of boys, going around and having those motorcycles without silencers, and this has become a culture in Pakistan. So this is an analogy, although वो बोलते हैं कि वो करंट है उनके अंदर, वो उसको बस डायरेक्शन देनी है. तो उसके लिए थोड़ी सी अभी क्योंकि अवेयरनेस लेवल इतना अच्छा नहीं, वी डोंट हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ अवेयरनेस लेवल राइट नाउ इन पाकिस्तान, एंड दैट व्हाट वरीज द गवर्नमेंट एट टाइम्स कि यार थोड़ा सा एनफोर्स करो, थोड़े से दैट कैरेट एंड yardstick concept and all that stuff. Yes, in developed countries, developed economies, this could be, you are absolutely correct. We don't need on that side. Achha, jo dusra, the second thing which you said about the SEZs, I was working on ICT SEZ in Islamabad. I was the focal person for that from the government of Pakistan in the China-Pakistan economic corridor. And we had one Chinese state-owned conglomerate actually coming in, and they said, okay, we would like to invest. Now, this is a very, unique word in the government. If someone comes in and he doesn't say, okay, I want to give you a loan, give me some, some sort of guarantee, state guarantee on it and all that stuff. But he said, if you want to invest, you have a land. Do you have a land? Now we have 32 acres of land. Okay. And we start talking about it. And for SEZ, the subject matter experts or the under the Ministry of, under the Prime Minister's office. Now, the first limitation they have is an SEZ, by definition, has to be of 50 acres or more. Now, I had 32 acres of land. I had a $200 million investment ready on my doorstep, and I could not get it converted. Look at this. I come from a very commercial background. Every quarter we had to give give our commercials that, okay, what we have achieved in terms of our pipeline and conversion and all that stuff. And I could see $200 million coming in and going out. It was like stabbing your own self. It was like a suicide. And I kept complaining about. And there was only one very, very small issue on which we couldn't agree. And there were always ways out, because it was, again, in a G2G capacity. So, but the problem which we had, it was not about 50% of 32 acres. It was 50 acres or 32 acres. It was actually about, the transparency issue. And everybody wants to ensure, especially in this government, that whatever measures they take have to be transparent. And unfortunately, we are trying to facilitate a lot of businesses, but we are not trying to, really work on what transparency actually is. And transparency actually needs transformation in the digital space, automating the processes. We are still, personality-driven country. We are not an automated or, process-driven country right now. So this is the biggest issue we have in between all these, problems which you have already identified. So this is just my 2 cents on what you said. That, okay, the issues which you specifically highlighted, I'm hoping that I'm able to specifically answer them as well. But again, I'm not at all the spokesperson here in any ways. It's just my experience which I'm actually trying to share with you.
No, thank you very much, and I hope now Umair has joined us again. So thank you very much, Umair, for joining us again. So we are actually trying to wrap up this session and come towards the Q&A. So we can actually continue the Q&A. So if anybody has any question, they can raise this question. But Umair, also, we remember we were at the Ministry of IT, and Zeeshan was there, and Umair, made a pitch as well, and we worked together. So we have lots of good memories working with the Ministry of IT.
If you allow me for 2 minutes to go on, I'll share some very interesting memories. I was the CEO, School of Leadership, which was a youth-driven organization. So उस वक्त youth secretary थे, और वो उन्होंने हमारी कॉन्फ्रेंस पे आए, मुझे जरा ग्रुप में डाल दें, मुझे अकेले नहीं देखना अपने आपका, वो CEO पैनलिस्ट सारे नजर आ जाएं, that's better for me. Yeah. So यूथ मिनिस्ट्री पे जो सेक्रेटरी थे, वो उन्होंने कॉन्फ्रेंस हमारी सपोर्ट की, पुरानी होती भी आ रही थी, तो हमने उसी खतो किताबत पे करवा ली उनसे जोर जबरदस्ती. कॉन्फ्रेंस जब हो गई तो उसके बाद हुकूमत ने एक बहुत बड़ी रिपोर्ट लिखी, और रिपोर्ट ये लिखी कि कॉन्फ्रेंस वाले तो पैसे खा जाते हैं, इन्होंने बच्चों को कुर्सियां भी नहीं दी थी, फर्श पे बिठाया हुआ था, हालांकि एक्सरसाइज चल रही थी. हमारे लिए हाई टी का इंतजाम नहीं था, हालांकि हमने हाई टी ऐसी बनाई थी फैंसी के जवान और यूथ मिनिस्ट्री साथ करेगी. कूल आइडियाज थे ना, ओपन डायलॉग होगा, करीब आएंगे. और हमारा कोई चीफ गेस्ट सेशन नहीं था, हालांकि 5 लोगों को इसी तरह स्टेज पे बिठा के मैंने पैनल चलाया था. वो I have video evidence of that, and I saw this bigger report written in the government file, and government file report doesn't go away, you know that, unless it's a joint investigation report. A usual report doesn't go away. Now I sat outside his office for 3 months with my laptop, with my internet and my phone. और मैं जाता था, मेरे दफ्तर से किसी और नौजवान में इतनी हिम्मत नहीं थी. मैं वहाँ पे बैठ के 2 से 3 घंटे रोजाना काम करता था, अपनी कॉल्स करता था, और ऐसे ही जो मैं काम वैसे करता हूँ, कहीं से ही बैठ के जहाज में भी हो जाता है, एयरपोर्ट पे भी हो जाता है, सरकारी दफ्तर के बाहर भी हो जाता है. वो सेक्रेटरी 3 महीने मुझे देखते हुए अपने कमरे में जाते थे, खापे होते थे, लोग आते थे, इतनी बड़े बड़े पेट वाले. उस वक्त सिंध के यूथ मिनिस्टर थे कायम अली शाह साहब. I was 25 years old and he was the youth minister. This secretary took 3 months, but 3 महीने में उन्हें समझ आ गया कि मैं कौन हूं या हम कौन है. और उसके बाद उन्होंने मेरे साथ मिलकर प्रोजेक्ट बनाया, और प्रोजेक्ट खतरनाक बनाया कि पाकिस्तान की ब्यूरोक्रेसी में अच्छे नौजवानों को डालना है. तमाम मसले जो ज़ीशान खुर्रम बात कर रहे हैं ना, ये आईटी कंपनियां बना के बैठे हुए हैं, ये कारोबार चला रहे हैं. इस मुल्क का बेहतरीन टैलेंट धंधा करता है, पैसे कमाता है. इस मुल्क का बेहतरीन टैलेंट इस मुल्क को नहीं सुधारता, इस मुल्क की गवर्नेंस में नहीं जाता, इस मुल्क की ब्यूरोक्रेसी में नहीं जाता. So we made a project which said that we will induct young people into bureaucracy. It's amazing, Shahriyar, Khurram, Zeeshan, Huma, that we worked on it for 6 months. This entire academy that would come about, and the day the contract had to be signed is the day he was denotified. And he was put into minorities. I asked myself, is the effort wasted? Khurram, is the effort wasted for all the doors that you have knocked? Zeeshan, is the effort wasted? My belief is the effort is not wasted. It's part of the process. My challenge to the IT and the startup realm in Pakistan is to get together. जो साथ हुए Teamup किए हुए ना NIC वाले, उनकी से है. Yes, we have seen that. Wherever people are together and they can go out, and please, can I also say this, that when you're working with the government is not up to date anywhere in the world. The government is not as the citizens want anywhere in the world. The government never leads the innovation. It's always the industry, and it feeding it back to the government through a partnership, through collaborations. That's what makes it work. पाकिस्तान में ये डिबेट्स हमने बहुत सालों सुनी है. पाकिस्तान को एक्शन चाहिए, और मेरी गुजारिश है कि हाथ बढ़ाने वाले बन जाए. और नहीं देते हाथ, लोग भरम कराते हैं, ऐसे यूं हल्का सा हाथ देंगे, एक उंगली देंगे, कहेंगे आप कौन है, फला है, आप बड़े खुर्रम साहब, चीते लोग होंगे, आपको 17 साल का सरकारी अफसर जलील कर देगा. मैं आपसे ये गुजारिश करना चाहता हूँ, आप जलील महसूस नहीं कीजिएगा, क्योंकि आपकी इज्जत उसमें कतई नहीं है. और अगर आप इससे बुलंद और बालातर हो सकते हैं तो आप हर टेबल, हर मैदान जीत सकते हैं और इज्जत के साथ जीत सकते हैं. That's what my personal belief is. And I've tried doing that, Shahriyar. Yours ministry was like one tour. I must have done like 50 of them, and I've tried writing curriculums for the bureaucracy and whatnot. One more example, I wrote a curriculum, a year-long effort. 50 consultants involved, working groups, everybody commented on it. I was the only one writing. उसके बाद वो प्रोग्राम नहीं हुआ.
Just to clarify,
I want you to know that it is not the result that matters. In your real life, it is not the result that matters. In your temporary life, it's the result that matters. In your real life, it's the effort that matters. Sorry for the rant. Thank you, guys. Okay, let's go on with the question answers.
Yes,
we have.
Thank you very much, Kashif Khan, from one of our previous panelists, has joined back as well. So thank you very much, Kashif Saab, for joining back. So I think let's see if we have any questions from the viewers or any previous questions that has been raised previously, or any other question that one of our panelists has to ask from any other panelist. So please move ahead and ask this question, or even Umair, if you have any more questions from our panelists, please go ahead.
I just like to encourage कि हमारे साथ जो लोग जुड़े हुए हैं बस social media पे, call for questions, please put them down in comments. You can also join us live if you can flash the link. तो जरूर join करें, सवाल पूछें, comment दें. We'd like to include that in the conversation. To the panelists, Khurram Saab, Huma, Zeeshan, would you like to add anything? Sorry sir, आपका नाम मुझे नजर नहीं आ रहा. Sorry for my ignorance.
Kashif Khan.
Kashif Khan Saab, good to see you. So you've been part of the dialogue. Would you like to add anything? We are also waiting for questions, and then we can build upon it.
Well, I actually, I was part of the previous panel. Professionally, I'm an investment banker and a private equity personnel from the Middle East, based out of Dubai and Kuwait, and I run my own firm. And in fact, my firm just got bought out by a fintech company based out of New York called Wahid Invest. So we had a very detailed discussion. But I have questions. I have two questions. One for Zeeshan, one for Huma. Zeeshan, I would love to see get more details from World Bank perspective. I believe, sorry, I missed the middle part of the session. I had to take a couple of calls, but I just want to understand that, you are looking into the tech sector from World Bank perspective. I would love to see, where do you see the opportunity? And Huma, I would love to get your feedback in terms of, you're on a consulting side and you do a lot of valuations and about the market. So I would love to, because I'm looking to enter the Pakistani market in terms of the fintech robo advisory business that I'm part of right now, which is pretty much New York based and Dubai based, but would love to see, what's the entry point in Pakistan. So, these are the two questions I have for both of you.
Okay. Huma, would you like to answer this him first, or should I go about it?
I think you should go first.
Okay. Thank you, Kashif. Kashif, first of all, I'd like to actually answer that we have a very simple agenda for the digital development. The first part is, yes, enabling the government through facilitative policies and hand-holding a little bit on what has been done globally, so that when international companies walk in, they have it becomes easier for them to do the KYC, and that's the biggest issue they have right now in terms of investing into Pakistan. SBP is very aggressively evolving. In fact, yesterday I was looking at a letter from a friend in International Chamber of Commerce who has actually appreciated a very recent move by State Bank of Pakistan for these allowing these payments in and outside of Pakistan. I can share that letter as well later on from International Chamber of Commerce. Okay. Second element of our this marathon to enable Pakistan is the digital inclusion. We have a lot of startups, we have a lot of opportunities, but again, if a company like Facebook comes in and tells us that in the last 2 years we have only 50 million subscribers, 50 odd million subscribers, that's a worry. We have had like 80 odd million data subscribers by now. but the use in the right direction is not there. The awareness and the inclusion part. This is where we will be focusing, so that when new ventures come in, they have that critical mass available, which they are trying to target altogether. So we'll be focusing, when we say inclusion, we'll be focusing on the connectivity of remote areas, enabling the slum areas, trying to expand the outreach, make public-private partnership programs. Again, we have to move through the government. We work only with the state on larger programs. And then after doing the inclusion part, the second part is awareness. Awareness are of two types. How to again coming back to that same theory of developing the critical mass. We would be focusing on how to improve the digital literacy of a common person who have been digitally included. So this is something on which we will be actually focusing.
Got you. Thank you so much.
So these are the couple of things which we will be focusing on. And over to Huma now.
Thank you, Zeeshan. Huma.
All right. So basically, Pakistan. First thing I would say is, however हम जितना भी कह लें कि जी स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम हमारा ये है, गवर्नमेंट ये कर रही है, मैंने ऐसे स्टार्टअप्स देखे हैं या मैंने ये चीज़ नोट की है कि इट्स मोर ऑफ द पर्सन, द टीम, कि जो आइडिया लेके चल रहा है, अगर उसने एक सक्सेस स्टोरी क्रिएट करनी है, नो मैटर व्हाट, उसने कर जानी है. तो मैंने बहुत सारे ऐसे स्टार्टअप्स देखे हैं जो इतनी बुरी कंडीशन में थे कि जी सेल करने के लिए रेडी थे, बट थोड़ा सा जो है उनको डायरेक्शन दी गई या उनको बताया गया कि थोड़ा सा और वेट कर लें, थोड़ी सी और मुसीबत का टाइम गुजार लें, तो आप जो है वो सक्सेसफुल हो सकते हैं. तो आई थिंक इट्स मोर ऑफ द योर पर्सनल थिंग एज वेल कि आप में वो ड्राइव कितनी है कि आपने अपने आप को सक्सेसफुल करना ही करना है. तो एक वो एंगल जो है वो बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है कि आपके पास अगर नहीं भी आपका इकोसिस्टम सपोर्ट कर रहा, कुछ भी सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहा, लेकिन आपने डिटरमिन किया हुआ है, आप डिटरमिन्ड है, तो आप कर जाते हैं. तो उसमें दूसरी चीज़ ये आ जाती है कि जैसे हम इकोसिस्टम की हम बात कर रहे हैं पाकिस्तान एंट्री के लिए. अच्छा, मैंने नोटिस किया है फ्रॉम माय क्लाइंटेल्स या जो मुझे क्वेरीज आ रही होती हैं कि पाकिस्तान इस वक्त बड़ी एक बिकॉज ऑफ द क्वालिटी ऑफ IT वर्क वी हैव, बड़ी एक पोटेंशियल मार्केट है. और दूसरा डेफिनेटली अगर हम सारे फैक्टर्स कंसिडर करें, CPEC से लेके, तो जिस तरह से पाकिस्तान एक इम्पॉर्टेंट कंट्री के तौर पे इवॉल्व हो रहा है, तो मेरे ख्याल में बहुत सारी चीज़ें जो है वो यहाँ पे शिफ्ट होने वाली हैं. हाउ आई सी लाइक 5 to 10 years. तो पूरी दुनिया की जो एक नज़र है वो पाकिस्तान पे डेफिनेटली फोकस हो रही है. सो अभी जो क्वेरीज मुझे पता चलती आ रही होती हैं कि जी हम कौन से स्टार्टअप्स में इन्वेस्ट करना चाह रहे हैं, उनमें काफ़ी सारे जो है वो ट्रैवल टूरिज्म में आ रही थी, जो कि पिछले 5-6 महीने में स्लो हो गई बिकॉज ऑफ द लॉकडाउन थिंग. उसके अलावा जो अभी स्पेसिफिकली आ रही हैं वो है जी इंटरटेनमेंट इंडस्ट्री में हम किस तरह से इन हो और क्या किस तरह से जो है इन्वेस्टमेंट लाके यहाँ पे कौन कौन से पोटेंशियल आइडियाज हैं. सो ऐसे बहुत सारे स्टार्टअप्स हैं जो कि काम कर रहे हैं, एंड दे आर लुकिंग फॉर फंडिंग एज वेल. अब ये जो लॉकडाउन के बाद का पीरियड है, जो कि मेरे ख्याल में 1-8 महीने से काम फिर से स्टार्ट हो चुका हुआ है, क्वेरीज आनी शुरू हो गई हैं. स्टार्टअप्स जिन्होंने सोचा था कि हिम्मत हार दो, वो दोबारा से कुछ अपना काम दोबारा से शुरू कर रहे हैं. तो आई थिंक पाकिस्तान में बहुत ज़्यादा पोटेंशियल है, और वही मॉडल जो है आप रेप्लिकेट पाकिस्तान से बाहर भी कर सकते हैं और पाकिस्तान में भी कर सकते हैं. सो ऑब्वियसली टेक मॉडल है तो वो मोर और लेस काफ़ी सारे मुल्कों में इकट्ठा चल जाता है. तो
हुमा, लेकिन जैसे मेरी कंपनी वाहिद इन्वेस्ट है, सॉरी आई एम इंटरप्टिंग यू, हमारे पास फंडिंग भी है, हम 4 साल से एस्टेब्लिश्ड हैं और हमारे पास 9 लाइसेंसेस हैं ग्लोबली. न्यूयॉर्क है, लंदन है, दुबई है, सऊदी, मलेशिया, इंडोनेशिया, तमाम जो इम्पोर्टेंट मार्केट्स है. और हमारा मॉडल जो है वो इस्लामिक रोबो एडवाइजरी फर्म है. पाकिस्तान इज़ अ बिग मार्केट फॉर इस्लामिक फाइनेंस, एंड दैट्स वेयर हमें अगर एंट्री चाहिए पाकिस्तानी मार्केट के अंदर, तो उसमें वुड लव टू गेट योर फीडबैक, एंड वी कैन डिस्कस दिस ऑफलाइन एज वेल. आई डोंट नो इफ यू आर रनिंग आउट ऑफ टाइम, बट दैट्स बेसिकली व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू गेट टू.
ओके.
Can I quickly Kashif,
yes, Khurram.
Yeah, just quickly on this answer. I know about Wahid very well, Kashif Saab. So if you are looking from crowdfunding perspective, It's a no. Don't try that. It's going to take a while before you actually go for that element or that arm of your business. However, the actual disbursement of the fund is definitely an option. You can even start with your Dubai legal entity. You can start actually funding the startup straight away. In fact, what we are doing is at the JumpStart, what we are doing is not flowing in the money, not flowing in the investment. A lot of questions come in, like in terms of the investment, that how can actually investment we can get. Now, one thing you have to realize with the startups, I wouldn't fund a startup myself. If I want to actually make a funding, I wouldn't want to fund in their operations. I want to actually fund in their scaling part. And that's what the best is scaling. That's where you're going to get the money back. And where the scaling is going to be easier to do is going to be actually overseas. And if you want to actually help Pakistan, then help them scale it overseas. So take their businesses and scale them, their services, their product, and where they're going to need this investment. They're going to need this overseas to market their products. So when if you are flowing in the money, let's say $100,000 into Pakistan, then straight away SCCP is going to have an issue with that, and the State Bank is going to have an issue with that. Because they're going to actually find out what sort of equity you are actually getting against that money, who you are. If you don't have an Aadhaar card, it's going to be a hell for you. If you're coming as a foreigner, that's going to be a hell for you. So the easiest part is create a legal entity, and these startups actually need a legal entity overseas. Park the money there, make them shareholder in that. You become the shareholder and start spending that money for their scaling overseas. So that's the best way to actually move forward if you want to take the first step in that direction.
That's a great
Very
advice,
sad.
Khurram. Thank you so much.
Very sad though. The great advices are very sad advices. I would say that.
No, but there's
but I
another
can
part.
Understand that's the way it works. That's the way it works. I wish that we come to that, that we are able to receive, and our government is not so tight and is able to relax this down for startups. Thank you, Khurram. Go on.
Let me explain quickly on this. So it's not sad in a way. It looks, because I only explained the half part. Now, you're going to be actually selling the product. You're going to be actually selling, because when we say that we're going to be adding $100 billion into Pakistan's economy, how are we going to do that? So while we are actually telling people to actually park that money outside. So the way we are actually dealing with this, none of our strategy at any level depends on this statement that if government does that, then we'll do this. So none of our strategy on a strategic level is dependent on if the government does anything and then we'll do that. So State Bank actually allows the money to flow in, or the SCCP changes this rule or whatever. So the way we are handling it is with the current status quo is going to be actually maintained. So obviously they're going to be making a sale. It's going to be happening, whether it's a service or the product. The sale is going to happen overseas, and that money is going to flow in. So you're going to actually bring in that money through the invoicing. I can bring in $1 million through the invoice. That's not a problem. State Bank doesn't have any problem if I have actually sold something overseas, and that's how you do it. So you're going to actually do the scaling. You're going to increase your workforce in Pakistan because you have to do the salary. I can transfer the salary. There is no problem. As a contractor, as an overseas
it's
firm,
acceptable as a business. You're invoicing. There's no issues. That's all.
That's
great.
how we're going to
Wonderful.
flow in the money.
Yeah. Doesn't lead to any issues on the regulation part. But wonderful. Thank you. Brilliant. And thank you for clarifying that for me. Any other comments, questions from any of the panelists, or अगर सवाल भी कोई है तो वो flash कर दें, please. Okay, Naeem is asking.
मैं थोड़ी सी चीज़ ऐड करना चाहती हूँ. हम बात करें कि जी थोड़ा सा हम बात करें जी गवर्नमेंट की लेजिस्लेशन स्ट्रिक्ट है और फंडिंग के हमें इश्यूज आते हैं. तो अब मेरा प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपोजर है कि जी जिस वक्त 9/11 के बाद पाकिस्तान में राइट अवे वेरी सेम ईयर इतनी ज़्यादा NGOs रजिस्टर हुई हैं. उसके बाद मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग, टेररिज्म सपोर्ट हो रहा था. सो ये जो एक बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है गवर्नमेंट को उसको भी कवर करना होता है. सो डेफिनेटली मुल्क को बचाने के लिए कुछ चीज़ें स्लो हो जाती हैं. उसमें जो एक्चुअल बिजनेसेस हैं वो इफेक्ट हुए. आई एम श्योर everybody would agree with me कि जी ये मसला हुआ. बट ये जो अभी फॉर एग्जांपल राइट नाउ भी आप देखें तो आई एम एक्चुअली वर्किंग विद दिस NGO. उनके बैंक्स उन्होंने ब्लॉक कर दिए हैं. उसकी वजह क्या थी कि जी फॉरेन फंडिंग, फॉरेन डोनेशंस आ रही हैं. हालांकि दी NGO हैड बीन वर्किंग फॉर मोर देन 67 years now. So, but I support government in that context as long as it's saving us from the ये जो आउटसाइडर्स और टेररिज्म फंडिंग थी और ये सारी मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग और ये इशू से बचाया जा रहा है अगर पाकिस्तान को, तो आई थिंक आई सपोर्ट दैट वी वुड लाइक टू गो स्लो इन आवर ग्रोथ, बट टू हैव अ प्रोटेक्टेड एंड सेफ Pakistan is more important, I think.
Yeah, protected and safe Pakistan, but not overprotected at the same time. You know, we have to run the businesses and affairs as well on a lighter note. So the thing is, yes, actually, you know, this KYC and AML for FATF, yes, we have to set our priorities. You're right. You're right. And, you know, the thing is, KYC and AML process is shaping up. If we are evolving. State Bank has shown some promise. SECP is already doing a lot. They have already set up for new ideas and new opportunities. They have already set up a sandbox, and I'm sure, Kashif, you are aware of that. So yeah. I think to start with that. In fact, State Bank also have their own sandbox. So if you're planning to, you know, invest in any fintech related company, I think this could be a good start to engage them on those lines, and then you can, you know, build from that. Of course, I'm not asking you to take ages for that. I'm saying that, you know, 2-3 months down the road, this can help you a lot.
Zeeshan, my challenge in Pakistan is not State Bank. My challenge is actually SECP, and I don't want to get into the detail where the challenge is. I'm happy to discuss that separately. But that's and it's stuck basically on a very small point where SECP has been adamant about it, and you know, we want to get some flexibility from their side.
Okay, you can tell me. I can actually, you know, shake up a few people, then maybe they can help you on that side.
Offline बात कर लेते हैं ना, वरना मेरे पीछे पे पड़ना जाए फिर.
नहीं आपके पीछे कोई नहीं पड़ेगा.
Then we'll engage Umair to, you know, do the social media campaign for you to get you out of trouble.
I could have helped Kashif with SCCP, but Kashif is clearly not wanting that help, and he's. No, it's lovely, Zeeshan. Please help out, and that's what JumpStart and all the wonderful forums that are out there. ये मकसद होता है इन forums
But see,
Shariar,
I have a comment for you, yaar. I mean, you have done a brilliant job in putting this together. I think इसके बाद जो main execution part है ना, कि हम सब जो panel पे बैठे हुए हैं, how do we work together, right? I think we need to put together a think tank or something to that extent where we join hands, we all complement each other, our skill set complement each other, and I think that's where it should not limit only for the panel discussion and webinar. I think there's something very useful that can be done with this team.
Okay, let me quickly come in here. So, Kashif bhai, we have roughly about 150 people from all over the globe. I think Zeeshan would be able to actually tell you. What I'll do, I'll add you into the group, all of you, all the panelists today. And some of the VCs are there, some of the educationists are there, economics from the government, from all walks of life, pretty much. And all of those people are for either your caliber or even more or less. So many of like-minded people you'll see, and then many of the problems you'll hear from firsthand, because they have invested in Pakistan. Some of them have actually flown in over $1 million as an individual. And many of the VCs have actually kind of like opened up their arms. So you'll have great number of experiences from them.
And I think
thank you, Khurram.
On top of that, probably, I think maybe for even a close discussion between ourselves, what I can do is, again, I can start a new group amongst ourselves that we could even collaborate within ourselves as well. So that I would do. And one point actually clicked, which was pointed out by Huma, is the investment in the entertainment industry. Especially in the recent COVID times, we have been watching a lot of Netflix and all these series, and one of the dramas that was officially publicized in Pakistan as well as the Ertugrul series from Turkey. And so maybe just as this as a concept, maybe if in Pakistan, that has played a very important role in highlighting Turkey's tourism to the rest of the world. Everybody wants to visit Turkey just because they have seen this series of 400 episodes and they want to explore how beautiful Turkey is. So maybe Now I've seen, we have a lot of dramas and series coming on from Pakistan on Netflix and all these Amazon web series and this kind of stuff. So if Pakistani content is made in such a way, whatever the topic, whatever it is, it's related to history, it's related to any topic, but then it would ultimately lead the awareness part of foreign investors to get to know Pakistan better and maybe then try to explore what can be done in Pakistan.
Absolutely. Just to quickly add on this, so basically we have, as I was talking about the government, the actual group itself, we have about 12 verticals now. So in 2018, we had 4: education, healthcare, technology, and funding. So funding/finance. So in finance alone, we have about 70 people from all around the globe. Then technology, roughly about 100 or so. Then we have healthcare, and the ones I'm talking about, like some of these groups has got like a very peculiar, I mean, some of the people you probably wouldn't know their names, but they are like the best. Agriculture, we have recently collected about 100 people who have got acres and acres of land. Some of them are, cultivating moringa. Some of them has got like kinnu, acres of lands of kinnu, and they know exactly what needs to be done with the agriculture. So those 4 plus tourism, agriculture, space technology, and precision engineering, and creative industries. Sharia just mentioned about the actual drama and everything. So the creative industries is the most neglected sector where we can bring in millions of dollars. And then we recently added 4 more, which is the property, manufacturing, and some of that. So inshallah, I'll share those details. And each group has got like relevant people. So whichever you want to be part of it.
Khurram, do you have JumpStart Pakistan?
Guys,
Khurram, do you have
I'd just like to give
Pakistan
numbers.
chapter?
Yes, Kashif and then Zeeshan.
Sorry, 1 second.
okay, one thing I would like to actually highlight is there were a couple of questions. I think we have missed out on them from the viewers. I think we should actually try to help them out as well.
Kashif bhai, sorry, quickly.
I could see them, on the screen.
Sorry, Zeeshan, go ahead.
I was saying, actually, there were a couple of questions by the viewers. Can we just try to also help them,
Thank you, Zeeshan, for that. Naeem is asking, how can a tech, artificial intelligence and robotics startup benefit from this JumpStart movement? How do we get in touch with you after this web conference?
So it's very simple. I mean, you can actually send a message on Facebook, JumpStart page. Just press a send message button, write your query, and some of these queries, because it's a session going live, so your comment is there, and then you're going to be responded back with the team, inshallah, on Monday. Then how can you become, whatever the support we can provide.
Wonderful. Sohail is asking, thanks for arranging this. I'm an InfoSec professional at present working on a startup idea. I wonder if any guidance is available in refining it. And secondly, help in reaching out to VC later on. Like to take it?
So anybody can take it, but I think the way we actually do it, I mean, some of these people actually send out all this, but they do not approach people. So we recommend people that, we are all available on the social media. Just message them. I mean, one of the problem we actually had this problem in our Invest in Pakistan conference. We did it virtually. A lot of startup pitches happen virtually. And in the end of the actual pitch, they would say, so a couple of people actually committed and they say, yeah, we are interested. Can we actually, we'll talk. And then at the end of the page, this person say, can I have your contact details? And I said, I'm not going to ever give you my contact details if you don't know how to reach me. I'm like on LinkedIn, on Facebook, just Google me. I mean, so please guys, just
it's fascinating. Fascinating कि आप event announce करें, उस पे बड़ा लिखें website, फिर भी लोग नीचे comment में कहेंगे website बता दें. It's amazing that the human mind only picks what it wants to pick, sees what it wants to see, and takes the world as it has understood the world. So well said there. Please, बहुत आसान है आज के दौर में contact establish करना लोगों के साथ, इदारों के साथ, and it is not the old time board exchange number that you will not get you through. Sharia, you're smiling.
I think guys,
actually, what I wanted to add is very easy to find someone, but it's difficult to maintain that contact. Okay, you got to be in touch. मैं और उमैर मुझे अच्छी तरह जानता है कि we have been in touch for some time, but we never really helped out each other or whatever. But what I try to do and what we try to do is to stay in touch. And you never know that
That's the hard part.
Yes, that's the hard part to keep, because sometimes that let's say you have a product, but the market is not ready yet. So, but you have that in your unconscious mind that this person is my contact. Once a market arises, I will get in touch with this person and bring a product. So that's why.
देख लें शहरियार को, ये सीरियल एंटरप्रेन्योर करोड़पति सबसे ज्यादा जंप स्टार्ट सबको पीछे छोड़ देगा, असल पैसे ये बनाएगा, और जो बनाता है वो ताल्लुकात पे ही बनाता है. So that's an important point. Sharjil साहब, you were saying something.
Hi. I was just saying, hi everyone. I think one thing what we are talking about, I think this awareness needs to be ignited as well in Pakistan. I'll tell you my personal experience. Earlier this year when I was in Karachi, I gave a talk at IBA, and there were packed hall on emerging technologies. And the question was, sir, how we can get into it? I said, you shouldn't ask this question. You have all those ingredients. You are yourself an entrepreneur and you can do it. But unfortunately, I think we have as a nation, unfortunately, we have a bit of narrow mindset. We need to come outside, from our shell. We need to think outside the box. And I think people like ourselves, alhamdulillah, Allah gave an opportunity, to be exposed to the outside world. I think this is our responsibility now, to work with our entrepreneurs, to work with our youth, to give them, this ammunition so they can do more and they can do better.
Yeah.
So I think this, and I think JumpStart is a very good platform. And Khurram, well done for
my question to Khurram and Shahryar: do we have JumpStart Middle East chapter? If not, then I'm happy to help you with that.
So basically, Kashif bhai, we have Dubai, one in Dubai and one in Riyadh. But by all means, we'll connect back, and then inshallah, please do help, because it's not just about the actual chapter team, but it's all wider network. Because the point is that, there is no one thing we talk about, like actually startups getting connected with the investors. I think more important is to actually get those investors, those angel investors who want to actually get some sort of like connectivity with Pakistan. And that's how we actually did that. We had the road shows in 2019, just before the LIFT conference. We actually went into London, Manchester, Birmingham, Bradford, Chicago, New York, Jeddah, and Milwaukee. So 8 global road shows we did. And each one, like in London, we actually did in High Commission. So there were about 160 people in High Commission came. And out of those 150, 60 people, about 12 actually traveled to Pakistan just to attend the LIFT conference, because they didn't see the opening before.
Khurram, this is exactly where we have met, and for my side, you're very kindly invited as well. But I'm so sorry, I was at a commitment in Bahrain, so I couldn't attend. But I think again, you are doing a tremendous job, and well done for that. And again, from the UK perspective, from European perspective, there's a very strong community. There's a very strong community, not only a tech community, and we all are happy to support. And again, I think we can do more from UK, Europe as well, with regards to facilitating investments. But again, I go back to normal and the basics. Of course, alhamdulillah, we have a very wonderful discussions. But I think to facilitate investments, what's next? Let's say we are 7 of us, 8 of us right now in the panel. All of us can go to our respective audiences and then start talking about it. This is the wonderful discussion we had. Imagine some of anyone wants to invest. Let's say someone wants to invest £10,000. How they can invest? I think this is what we need to work on, and that's where. Sorry, Khurram, just give me a moment. And this is where recently I've encountered personally. We are working with the investor to invest into Pakistan. It's a sizable investment which investor was looking to invest. Now the problem is what? The problem is your foreign exchange manuals. We need to do amendments in our regulatory manuals first of all. Then investors can come and invest. Now we always, of course, being in Pakistan, we always talk about foreign exchange reserves or foreign exchange investments, right? Why not we allow? We need to work with the government. Again, this shouldn't be an excuse. But today, I had mentioned it earlier as well, we don't have any VC funds set up in Pakistan. Why not? I myself personally, along with some investors, we are looking to set up VC fund in Pakistan, but unfortunately, we end up looking to set up in Luxembourg. Why? I don't want to do that. Being a Pakistani, being an overseas Pakistani, I want to serve the country. So I think this is where we need to work a little bit more to create this level playing field for investors, so we can facilitate investments, true investments, FDI to Pakistan in tech and in various opportunities. So
Okay,
that's
so
what I
just
think.
अच्छा एक चीज मैं यहाँ ऐड करना चाहूँगा थोड़ा सा actually this is one point which I wanted to share in my this 10x growth discussion as well, and I'm sure a lot of people would actually, they may have actually seen this over the over a passage of time, especially those who are actually taking these startups forward for raising funds. Actually, what happens in Pakistan is we are still in the same age of brick and mortar, and most of our investment raising professionals, because entrepreneurs, they can give you the assumptions but they cannot do the number crunching. एक सवाल भी आया था यहाँ पे अभी थोड़ी देर पहले कि जी मैं number crunching कैसे करूँ? You just have to focus on the assumptions and how you're going to approach the market. That's it. The number crunching can be done by some professional like Huma on that side. So you don't need to worry about a lot of things as an entrepreneur. You just know, you should know that who you are going to approach when it comes to some specialty which you are not good at, right? So this is one answer to the question. Another aspect is कि पाकिस्तान में भी तो problem ये चल रहा है कि आपके जो सेठ हैं या जो आपके basically angel investors हैं, खास तौर पे प्री सीड और सीड फंडिंग जब आप लेने जाते हैं, मैंने एक एग्जांपल मैंने देखा कि मैं आई वाज सिटिंग विद अ फ्रेंड और उनके पास एक वो कैपिटल फर्म है और वो ज्यादातर ये अपना स्टॉक ब्रोकरेज में है और इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकिंग में भी है. तो उनके पास एक स्टार्टअप का एक प्रोजेक्ट आया हुआ था और उस स्टार्टअप के प्रोजेक्ट के अंदर उन्होंने they were seeking seed fund of around $200,000 at a projected value of $1 million. So they were like asking around 20%. 20% they were ready to give up. अच्छा, उसके अंदर मैंने जो देखा वो अप्रोच ये देखी कि जो इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर था जिसने बेसिकली ये सारा अरेंजमेंट सेटल करनी थी, उसने बोला हाँ यार हम स्वेट इक्विटी दे देंगे, कोई मसला नहीं है, स्वेट इक्विटी कोई इशू नहीं है. मैंने बोला यार एक बात बताओ, ये स्वेट इक्विटी तो ठीक है, ये बताओ कि ये जो आइडिया और इंटेलेक्ट है, आईपीआर कोई कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है पाकिस्तान में. बोलने का वो क्या होता है यार? तो आई मीन लिटरली अब वो जो बेचारा 20% देने के लिए 20% देकर वो समझ रहा था वो बड़ा काम कर रहा है क्योंकि उसने और रेज करनी है इन्वेस्टमेंट. वो बेचारा आई मीन अब मुझे बताएं रेगुलेशंस का है, अब बताइए ये जो सेठिया माइंडसेट है, ये जो मैं माजरत के साथ मैं इतना ऑकवर्ड सा वर्ड यूज कर रहा हूँ, तो अब ये जितने भी बेचारे ये इन्वेस्टमेंट रेज करने जाते हैं वो जाके वो उसको आई मीन आप ये देखें कि उसको बेचारे को डिस्कार्ड कैसे किया है एक वेंचर को, एक स्टार्टअप को, एक एंटरप्रेन्योर को. तो उन्होंने बोला कि हाँ स्वेट इक्विटी दे देंगे, यानी कि तुम्हें हम उल्टा 30% देंगे, 70% हम रख लेंगे. ये माइंडसेट तो कम से कम हमें इन्वेस्टर अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम, खुर्रम दिस इज फॉर यू, इन्वेस्टर अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम्स भी लेकर आने. भाई डिजिटल स्पेस में इन्वेस्टमेंट्स ऐसे नहीं होती कि सेठ का पुत्र जो है वो उठा के एक ब्रिक एंड मोटर एक प्लॉट पड़ा होता है उसके ऊपर एक प्लाजा बनाता है और उसको 5,000 लोगों का फुटफॉल काफी होता है उसकी जिंदगी चलाने के लिए. That's not how the digital ecosystem works.
This is exactly, Zeeshan, thanks for adding this point. Basically, ये हमें बहुत पहले ये realization हो गई थी कि startup से को ट्रेन करने से बहुत ज्यादा important चीज ये है कि investor को ट्रेन करें पहले. So basically, what happened was in Invest in Pakistan conference जो हमारी March में होनी थी, so we changed because of the COVID. Obviously, we had to actually take it online. But the idea was to actually create about a week-long activity and have a retreat. So it's like a work retreat, basically. So we go in the actual, boonies, and then simply some of the investors actually spend some time together. So it had this element of actually some of the top startups which we actually selected, and then also interact with some of the investors, and some of the training sessions for the investor, what to expect, what SCCP rules are, what are the state bank laws, and or what FBR, how to repatriate their money. So all those kind of things were trained, but it didn't happen. But inshallah, we'll try to actually do that and left. On what Sharjil bhai said, so basically what we did was, as I said, rather than waiting for government to actually change some of their rules or go few notches up in the ease of doing business, we have to do something right now.
Great.
How you gonna, I mean, straight away, I mean, there are people actually approaching me every day on LinkedIn and other places and saying, okay, you are doing a wonderful job, but how to go about it? So what answer should I give it to them? So the answer is that in 2019, we announced, rather than, and we had a round table on this. There were like 12 people, including Khurram, Zafar, many state bank guys. Some of them, like, we actually sat around the table. And then we did discuss at length. In fact, like, it was in the middle of the conference and I had to come out and discuss this and be part of it. And we got to the conclusion that the VC is not the solution. PE could be, but not the VC for Pakistan. At this point in time, the ecosystem doesn't need the VC right now. I mean, do we have that kind of Series A, B, C funding where we're going to be actually needing about $5 million or $10 million? Here, people need $10,000 to actually go to the next scale. I mean, how many companies they can actually raise from Valley and other places, and they have done so. So right now, what we need is the angel network. That's how the Turkey grew. That's how the Malaysia grew. Their local ecosystem grew. We need the angels. Now, the angel mentality, because we don't have the structure to get certified angels, we have to, in Pakistan, what we did, that if you are a certified angel in any other country, like in UK, US, other places, you would be the first priority. But if you are not, then we are creating this $5 million syndicate. We actually announced it. Bokhari was there. Many other ministers were there, and we actually announced that on the stage. And then literally within a couple of days, we have more than $5 million committed. But how to flow that money in? We said, we're not going to be actually flowing that money into one account. What we're going to do is to actually get some token money, which we did. And then we said, okay, fine. Now you guys going to be decided which of the startups you're going to be actually investing in. So that's how we have got the startup pitches. So these guys who are part of the syndicate say, okay, fine, I like that startup. And some of the guys probably won't like that startup or the composition that's been built. And they said, okay, fine, 3 of the angel investor from that syndicate is going to actually put X amount of money, and the money directly flows into that entity legally created overseas, and the money flows in there, and that's how we invest. And that's how been investments going on through the JumpStart. So that's the, going around this whole and bypassing the government at this point in time. And the restructuring been going on, which started last year in SCCP, FBR, and State Bank, is going to be completed. We already know that it's going to be in 2022, 23, is going to go 40 notches up in ease of doing business. And that's in our 5-year strategy. That's already been mentioned in there, that we don't need this interim mechanism to make the investment. But you guys going to be the first mover. You're going to have first mover advantage who actually already invested in. So I would say, do not wait for that structure to come in. Come in now. And then you're going to have like all these PEs or legal structures. It's going to be very easy to do in 2022. So yeah, that's the quick answer for that.
Thank you very much.
It's great guidance, Khurram. Ji Sharia.
Yeah, I think Umair has to leave, and we are actually we have gone above
You can carry on. Khudafis. Thank you. It was wonderful. Good luck. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you very much, Umair, for your time. Highly appreciate it. So I
Guys,
guess
thank you for the time. Even I am running out of battery, as well as I have to catch up another meeting on that side.
Sure.
It's a pleasure. Khurram, I think you're doing a wonderful job. Shahryar, you pulled it together. Excellent. Let's get together sometime soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Cheers,
you,
guys.
Khurram,
Cheers.
Shahryar,
Bye.
thank you very much for putting
Bye-bye.
this together, and inshallah, look forward to working together.
Thank you very much.
Shahryar, well done. Khurram, well done. Keep doing the good work. And inshallah, we all are here. Whatever we can do in our capacities and in facilitating investments as well as entrepreneurship, inshallah, in Pakistan. especially from our own platform. We are happy to, inshallah, open the emerging technology education for Pakistan and for our youth. Please, would be happy to, I think, work with JumpStart on that, and we can launch the program together.
Thank you very much. I highly appreciate your kind words and your support. Thank you, Khurram Saab. Thank you, Huma. Thank you, Kashif Saab. And we all, I think, in the next steps for the viewers, thank you very much who have joined us and who will be watching us in the future. It's very easy to connect with us over Facebook or LinkedIn. You can send us private messages, send us messages on our LinkedIn page or the Facebook page, and someone from our team member will get back to you. And of course, with our panelists, we will definitely come up with future events, and we would like you to participate in our future events as well. So thank you very much, everybody, for your participation, and we look forward to connecting with you in the future as well. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time, and see you sometime in the future. Thank you. Bye-bye.